There it is. Yay. It
Let's
was
start
busted.
over.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
I hate some of the fucking commands on my stream deck whenever I'm like, and push this button to go live. Sometimes it'll be like, and the audio's on, and sometimes it's like, I don't wanna. I don't feel like it. I'll have to.
Thankfully,
I'll have to
someone's
double-check that.
looking at the chat. Hi,
Thank you.
people!
I appreciate it. So
Let's
thank you,
try that
everybody.
intro
Sorry
again.
about that. We're going to start over. My name's Dr. Terawat. We're playing ourselves more D&D today with our wonderful A-team going down our list. We've got Sasself playing Ophelia, our Mind Flayer Necromancer Wizard.
Hello, my peoples. Hello, Kara and Rainer. And Narita. Hello, peoples.
And we got Cassie D20 Love True playing Siaces Blue Leaf, our Banshee Bard.
Me, hello. I'm the one who be sad, but also be your friend.
Yay! And we got Badger coming in playing Knocker, our Goblin Warlock.
Hey guys, how's it going?
He was also the winner of the Mishmash tournament last game.
I mean, I knew I was gonna win. That game was basically designed by.
Or, as I've been calling it, tabletop Calvin Ball.
It is Calvin Ball pretty much. And we've got Storm Phoenix coming in playing Katsiana, our she in our party. Artificer.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
And last but not least, we got Star coming in playing Daisy Sunwing, the fairy dragon, who is going along with Knocker as a familiar.
Hey, howdy.
So last when we left our intrepid adventurers here, they were one party of Knocker, Katsiana, and Daisy Sunwing were exploring the city. They got introduced to the goblin quarter of the city, the complex where a lot of the goblins have been living. And at the time, there appeared to have been a tournament going on of the custom goblin random board game called Mishmash, to which Knocker not only won the tournament, but then swiftly realized that the point of the tournament and the point of Mishmash is to cheat. And whoever is the best at cheating at Mishmash wins the tournament.
I was in heaven.
It was fantastic. And then Benjamin Hyde had agreed to walk the party around to any other parts of the city that they were interested in, as it was just a little bit after midday. Ophelia, meanwhile, had been working with the Black King inside the Palace of the Fallen Leaves in creating a ritual, or rather, reworking the large egg-shaped gem that she'd gotten her hands on, her old family treasure, to create a prison for the essence of Umlaut. And Siaces was at last game unfortunately unable to join us, but we can say that you were around the town somewhere and we can tack you on. Ophelia, were you still in the ritual chamber at the time?
No, I had left the ritual chamber, gotten out to the front stairs, and just kind of had my legs give out under me. It was a big oof.
Yes.
Big oofs.
Bigum's oofs. There was
Bigum
some pretty steep things that got revealed whence in that chamber. Cassie, what would Siaces be up to at this point? Just sort of like early to midday.
I guess Siaces would probably have been, kind of like, I guess she kind of would have been like tagging along with the new crew to kind of watch them get acquainted and kind of observe as they, like, marvel at all of this that is the kingdom. And just kind of like, maybe just like, you know, sit back with a cup of tea as she's just kind of watching kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, so you'd be being escorted around town along with Knocker, Katsiana, and Daisy. As you guys have left the goblin complex, and you were brought out, I believe you guys had an interest in checking out some of the local shops.
Well, yeah, we wanted to find some, like, magic.
Yes, and that's where we left off. Was you guys were talking about how you were looking for specifically a magic shop, and Benjamin saying that he could introduce you to a fellow who should be able to help you out. He leads you upwards, sort of towards the, like, a little bit ways past the normal market where you see a lot of the common shops, and somewhere between the common shops and sort of the next tier of buildings, which appears to be maybe an entertainment district as the buildings look a little bit nicer, he turns you down an alleyway, and it's sort of like a left and then a right and then a left again, and it comes to a small door that is just situated in the side of a building, in this very tight alleyway space, and above the door it just says shamans. And Benjamin steps up and says, "This would be our local enchanter's shop. If you would be interested in procuring magical items of the sort, he'd definitely be the fellow to talk to." Opening the door, he ushers you inside, and you are treated to just a plethora of smells and sounds. It's like a very thick incense, but it's a mixture of all of these different scents. A lot of them very chemical, very pungent. And you see the shelves across the walls are adorned with a lot of strange bottles and books and curos. And standing behind a large desk near the back, next to a large bubbling cauldron, you see a troll. Covered in a series of tattoos with piercing yellow eyes and large tusks. He turns to you as you come in and goes, "Ah, more customers you've brought to me, Benjamin. Good."
Can I have gone invisible before I entered the shop?
You certainly may.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Knocker. What kind of stuff do you sell in this shop? Also, you might have to go over the concept of a shop with me quick.
He sort of nods and kind of smiles to himself and goes, "Right, so this is a space where I can sell you enchanted things. If you have an object that you would like to have magic put in it, I can certainly help you. I do mostly custom work, those sorts of things." And seeing Cyaces with the group, he smiles and nods to you and goes, "Ah, Madam Blueleaf, it is good to see you again. Keeping well, I see."
I do my best, yes. It's lovely to see you.
Lovely to be seen. So, what can I help you with?
Well, I guess, I haven't really seen things that are, like, magic before. What kind of stuff do you have?
Well, there's all sorts of things. He sort of goes across some of the shelves that he has, and he goes, "We have potions of healing. There's a lot of custom work that we could do for you, like having a potion of fire breath, for example. Or, let's see, we have got potions that could make you better at climbing, potions that could turn you invisible for a short amount of time, make you breathe underwater, or perhaps read someone's mind for a little bit."
That seems useful.
We've got a long list of things that we could do for you. Really, what are you looking for?
How many, like, I don't know, money things do I have to give you to, have one of?
Well, on the low end, we've got things like potions of fire breath or other potions that may turn you invisible or help you climb and such. Those are usually about 150 to 180 gold. On the high end, you'd be looking at things like an immovable rod. And he pulls a small cylindrical stone rod out and indicates to the side of it that there's like a little button on one side. And he holds the rod up in the air, clicks the button, takes his hand away from it, and it is fixed in midair. He goes, "Things like these, if you buy a pair of them, you could use to, say, climb. Or if you put it inside an object and then turn it on, you could hang something on it, and then that object would remain suspended, and he sort of grabs the rod and attempts to move it. It doesn't go anywhere. He sort of like, with one hand, does like a little bit of a pull-up on it. He's just like, there it is. Clicks the button again, and the rod becomes movable. He goes, now these would run you about 5,000 gold pieces. These are extremely hard to make.
Okay, so I have no concept of what that means, really. Like, is that a lot?
Well, it's more than a lot of folks tend to have. These are usually custom items. We don't get a lot of these.
So Knocker, like, rummages around in his pockets. I don't even know if he has any money, per se.
Mm-hmm.
Did I win anything from the... What did I... Oh, right, I have bugs in a... I guess they were in like a little box.
You have a jar of very fancy bugs.
Okay, so how about these? How about I give you some bugs, maybe not all the bugs because these are very special bugs, and then you give me your magic stuff.
He, looking over the jar of bugs, he kind of moves his head around the different sides of it to kind of gaze and gander and move around it to different angles as he eyes each of the bugs within the jar. Very carefully, you can see he specifically does not touch the jar. And he goes, well, I can see a few bugs in here we could use to make potions and the like. As long as I've mixed it with a few other key components, I could probably run you 100 gold for about 6 different bugs in here that I could see.
Each?
For the group.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. However...
Are they the really tasty ones, or are they the weird bitter ones? Or are they the ones with the, like, orange cream?
Well, I don't typically share taste with goblins. I mean, I do eat bugs, mind you, so my tastes may differ, but some of these would be for making potions, some of them would be for just eating myself, but he points to a few of the particularly colorful ones. He goes, this one here, that one there, and this one here. Could be used to make some elixirs of healing, and a couple of other things.
I see. Yeah, I mean, maybe you give me those, gold pieces for my bugs, and, what other things can these gold pieces do?
Well, these gold pieces can be used to, let's have a look here, you could buy... There's armor that you could get, weapons as well, from a pair of orc twins who run a smithy on the mid-end of the marketplace called Tooth and Claw. There's also a tavern. There's also, like, where you can get food and lodging. There's a number of Caligulan delights you can get involved in on the Uptown. Let's see. I mean, I get a lot of... He gestures to some of the, like... finer instruments that he has, and he goes, if you're looking for anything like these, I know a guy who's in Midtown, and his name is Par. He's a stone troll who makes a lot of little bits and things, little gizmos, whatnot. Coins could be used to buy all sorts of stuff like that.
So, wait, these can get me anything?
Anything that money can buy, yeah. People trade services.
Where do I get more of this stuff?
Well, he kind of like furrows his brow and he goes, well, the most popular thing, at least from folks like you, and he gestures to Saices, would be to go to the surface and find it on frustrating members of the Empire. They tend to carry around a lot of this stuff. Otherwise, doing work around the city will earn you money and the like.
Well, I feel like if they needed it to buy stuff for themselves, they wouldn't want to just give it to me. So what are you implying here? I just want to, like, roll them for it?
Members of the Empire, typically, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm hearing you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Occasionally, people will also keep large stocks of gold in certain buildings and towns. Some people might bury them in holes. It all depends. Have you not really come into contact with gold? Like, this is just trading. Like, this is a...
I mean, my trading's more like I got a stick, or a bug, like I'm doing, and then I give you the bug, and then you give me the fancy Scoppy stick. But if you say there's some sort of, metallic middle thing, that's fine. I can deal with that.
Yeah,
and if that stuff gets me more of the other stuff, then I'm going to have to look into this whole money situation. Mm-hmm. So, you give me a bunch of those things, and I'll give you some bugs, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. And he sort of gestures to the table, and he's like, if you could remove this one, and that one there, and this one here. And he goes behind his counter, takes out a sack, and starts counting out coins.
And,
What's that?
Is there anything I can do for you that you could give me more of those things? Anything else?
Well, it's funny you ask, and he reaches behind the counter and takes out a small scrap of leather with some writing on it, puts it on the counter. I have now put that up on the screen for you. It's Shaman's list. He's got a list of some stuff that he's looking for. Some X has been placed next to some of these objects here, as it is something that the teams have already acquired and brought back. However, if you find more of any of these items, Shaman would be willing to pay you or give you a discount on specific objects in exchange for these.
Oh, I can find all sorts of junk. All right. Yeah. All right. I'll find your stuff for you. Don't you worry. I'll find stuff, and you give me more of those shiny discs.
And yeah, you know what? Very, very briefly, in the moment, just as you guys are having this conversation and exchanging bugs for gold, Ophelia wanders in.
So Ophelia, having wandered around the streets of Autometh, has her hood and her veil up, as is usual, kind of obscuring most of her features, but just kind of leaving her eyes and her forehead, which are still clearly purple with black eyes, not normally fitting in, but wanders in the door of Shaman's, a place she hasn't been terribly often, but she's been a few times. And she just looks... Oh... She's got some news, but she's... Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're all here.
Oh, hey, nice. There you are.
Are you
look tired.
No okay?
Oh, I'm fine. Tired's a word. Tired is a word. So I see you're all getting acquainted. Shaman, I hope the little one hasn't been too loud.
Excuse me. We're conducting business here.
It's very important business. He smiles and bows his head respectfully as Ophelia enters the room and goes, Miss Unitharad, it is a pleasure to see you.
It is a pleasure to see you as well, Shaman. I will let you finish your business with these lovely folks over here. When you have a moment, though, I wanted to ask you about some things.
Certainly. And he turns and finishes counting out the coin in exchange for the colorful bugs. So you can add 100 gold to your character sheet. And I'm just going to keep a mental note of the bugs. You just have less bugs in your jar now.
Less bugs, sounds good. I'm not really paying attention to how many bugs I have, but yeah. I will bow to him, and I will try to make a mental note of all of these things on his list. But basically, I'm going to bring him any piece of junk that I find. He has to be prepared for this. Any piece of junk I find is fair game now, and that's just how that's going to go. And I'll give him a deep bow and I don't know, a salute. And then I will give sort of the finger crossbow to Ophelia, and I will leave the store.
Finger crossbow. While these guys are flapping their lips, I'd like to flit around a little bit and see if there's anything that looks like I could taste it.
Oh, Jesus. Flying around the shop, there's nothing that's currently open that's on the shelves. On the desk next to where Shaman is, he has a couple of like bottles and mortar and pestles open, with a varying degree of ingredients. Apparently he was working on something when you guys came in, like he was mixing some kind of potion, which he seems to have stopped. You see, as you get a little bit close to it, there is a number of like substances that are there, which are very fragrant. All of them are unpleasant.
What kind of colors are we talking?
There is apparently some kind of mush that is inside the mortar and pestle. That is a brown with some white streaks in it. It doesn't appear to have any smell to it, this one. In one of the vials next to it, there is some strangely, like, very musty smelling gray dust. And in a bowl just sort of pushed back more towards the wall, there is a unnaturally looking wet black paste.
And that has a sort of bad smell too?
It does, yeah. It smells really pungent and very gross.
I'll take a fingerful of the brown and white.
Okay. Okay. All right. You take a fingerful of that and you put it in your mouth?
Yes.
Sweet. Roll me Constitution. I'm sorry. People in the B team may remember some mushrooms that they... Oh, Jesus. That they sold to Shaman that he used to make some things. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, cool. You... yeah, Palanthir knows what I'm talking about. You have tasted... there was a mushroom that they found in the woods and they brought to him. This is a mushroom. Yes, he kept some, Rainer. He's been working on trying to fix it into some things. And you got under a 10 on that one. You start to uncontrollably defecate.
Oh no!
You lose control of your ability to be invisible. And what do you do with the next 6 seconds that you've got?
I will, there seems to be some stairs at the back of the store here. Can I fly up those?
Those stairs go up out the back, yeah. You start flying up those stairs. Shaman immediately panics, seeing you freaking out and pooping all over the place. You start flying up in that direction, and there is a large iron door at the top of those stairs. It appears to be locked.
Oh, shucks.
Well,
I guess I'll just sit down on the floor and have a little rest.
You die.
I die.
Yeah.
Well, good
You
thing
take
that,
so much
not
damage from this
points.
poison. This was... Ugh. Okay, cool. It's a good thing you're familiar. You poof out of existence.
I guess I feel that when she pooped.
You do!
She pooped out of existence.
Yeah, she pooped out of existence. Oh my god. So yes, this is the poison that the B team nearly killed Bromo Nubs with.
You guys almost killed
my
Bromo.
They ran into Bromo Nubs in the woods. Estebane's skeleton archer coated an arrow in this substance and shot him with it. He barely made his con save of 16 and escaped. So
you were
this
doing
poison
God's work.
causes you to defecate uncontrollably. You have to make concentration checks in order to maintain certain functions and spells with disadvantage, and then you take like 4d8 damage a round, which you don't have that much HP, Daisy.
Wowie zowie.
I'm very sorry.
So,
Now
when
we have
she
to
dies
figure
and I-
this out.
when she dies and I feel her die, I would like be halfway out the door and then like turn on my heel and come back in and say, I will also need some exotic herbs and spices.
And you see Shaman just stone shock on his face, turn to you and go, "What the hell was that? Was that yours?"
And Ophelia is just standing there with her fucking face in her hands, just being like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Mine is a strong word. The will of a fairy dragon is its own. However, I will need 10 gold pieces worth of charcoal, incense, and herbs that will be consumed in a fire in order to bring my...
And he like furrows his brow and, maintaining eye contact with you, puts some herbs on the table, puts the charcoal on the table, and goes, "I'm gonna give these to you, and you're gonna get out of my shop, and you're not gonna bring that
seems
back in here."
Yeah, that seems fair.
And then Ophelia just reaches into her bag, takes out a big brass bowl, and just holds it out and goes, "You're gonna want to put them in this."
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
I'm getting
I'll
that.
be right-
I'm getting that back. I'm getting that back.
Well, hopefully she's not still sick when she comes back, because it... Well,
Then you're gonna
I'll clean it, don't worry.
And I'm getting that back.
So yeah, I'll go outside, out back, behind the shop or something, and then start doing my...
Dope. So you you head outside the shop. You see Benjamin standing there, just blankly waiting for you.
God, there was a poop explosion. Don't worry about it.
And he goes, "Yes, I am unfortunately aware. Are you all right?"
Can you smell?
He like just sort of nods and goes, "Yes, I possess many senses."
I guess that's fair. You can see, so it's just kind of weird. Well, anyway, I gotta go behind this building for a minute. Oh.
As you come out into the alleyway, like the doorway was at like the end of the alley, so when you come out, you have to sort of exit back out to the main street. Do you want to try to find your way around to another area, or do you want to perform your ritual in the alleyway itself?
I just want to find, like just somewhere relatively secluded that I can do my little ritual.
Yeah, no, if you want to just sort of like break out and do it in the middle of the alleyway, there's nobody else here at present.
Yeah, I'll mutter to myself. I'll probably have to go pick up some more of those herbs because I feel like this is going to happen again.
It might.
Yes, it will.
So you make your way back outside to the street, and you're just kind of hanging out in the alleyway in between the buildings just outside of Shaman's place. And the ritual itself, let's have a look here.
So I'm casting it as a ritual, so it will take 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Ah, yes. Find Familiar. As a spell, it does take an hour, and it is indeed a ritual. And there it is. Boom. In the chat. Thank you so much. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, so as you're casting it, let's see. Yeah, nobody comes by. Nobody comes down to Shaman's place in the next hour as you're working away on it. Benjamin maintains his position, sort of just standing nearby, facing away from you, sort of looking out around, dotting about. And after an hour of casting the ritual, you have yourself Daisy Sunwing the Second.
All right, Daisy. Let's just be cool. Be cool, okay? Let's cool.
What the heck was that?
I don't know, but it smelled real bad.
Yeah, it sure did. Thanks for, that.
Yeah, of course. You owe me 10 gold.
Inside
No
Shaman's
problem,
shop,
no boss.
Ophelia summons an unseen servant and puts to start cleaning. I'm using a spell slot on this.
Are you
On you.
casting it outside or inside?
I'm inside the shop.
You're inside the shop. As you like start casting the spell, as it has verbal and somatic components, so like hand gestures and whatnot involved. Shaman just puts up a hand and goes, "Don't dirty your hands with this. I'll clean this up." He sort of waves his hands
my
a
dear.
bit and gestures, and you can see like the poop slowly start to scoop itself up and put itself in a little jar, and some of the other things and whatnot. And he goes, "It's fine. I appreciate it. I'll take care of this. How have you been, though? Are you doing okay?"
My poop? You're outside. You don't know what's happening. It's also, you are an hour away from being summoned.
But yes,
He's keeping my poop.
he is indeed. He's keeping your poop. He's keeping it in a jar. It's fairy dragon poop. He also has... Actually, no, the corpse disappears because you are familiar. It just poofs out of existence. So he does not have the body of a small fairy dragon that he can do stuff. And thank you, Planthier, for your donation. I appreciate that very much. It's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. That is correct. We're halfway there, man. We're 50% of the way to our first goal. And today... actually, you know what? Because I hadn't mentioned it or put it on yet, while we have this brief moment, I'm gonna start our Ragaful for the day.
Yes, that was going to be the next thing I was going to make you aware of.
Yes, I'm gonna have Eris get that on the up and up. We have 3 games on our Ragaful today. We got Titan Attacks, Siberia, and Surgeon Simulator. Each ticket is $5 or 5 Daddy Watt bucks, which you can get by donating or just watching streams. You can get these points just by watching streams, and then you can use 5 of these points to buy tickets. And then we, at the end of the stream, as some people have seen, hold our wonderful raffle and enjoy ourselves. So yeah. While the summoning ritual is going on, Ophelia, you're still back inside. I'm just going to rewind time just very briefly because, Ophelia, you said you had some things that you wanted to do in here.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so kind of just like she's about to summon the unseen servant, just like, okay, it was going to be the least I could do for... I'm sorry.
He's just...
They're new in town. They haven't been in a town,
He just...
from what I can tell, ever.
He just turns to you, and he has like a flatline brow as he turns to you, and he goes, "Tourists."
I think they're planning on moving here, so...
Good, great, wonderful, love it. Okay, either way, what can I do to help you?
I was wondering... So, you enchant things. Do you put enchantments on clothing? And she just kind of gestures to her new fancy robes.
He leans over the counter, stroking the center of his 3 beards, and goes, "Yeah, I could probably, looks like it's of good enough quality. I could weave some spells into that. What are you looking for in specific?"
In specific, something with a bit of like a shield quality to it.
Shield quality? Oh, like to
Shield.
magically boost it to make it tougher and resist, getting slashed and stabbed a bit more, or something a bit more... He does like a jazz hands motion. A little more flashy than that.
2 seconds, looking up exactly what it was that I was looking for. Well, a little bit of both. It's a flashy quality that helps with the stabbing and the hurting. Shield.
Okay.
Shield.
Let's have a look. And that's an enchantment? Like I don't have to custom do that?
Oh, it's a level 1 spell. I'm actually not sure. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know much about enchantments.
Yeah, it is a spell. Shield. Yeah, and it's an invisible barrier of magical force. Appears and protects you until the start of your next turn. You have +5 to AC. Including and range around yourself. And it just lasts a round. Yeah, and you take no damage from magic missiles. Oh, that's what it's for. I was like, okay, no, I get it. All right, it's for when low level wizards are shooting crap at each other. I mean, it gives you +5 to your AC, but it's also like it does some other shit.
Unless you had any other suggestions, it's a bit of a family heirloom that I've recently come back across, and I wanted to make it a little bit special.
Well, I could certainly. And he strokes his beard again. He goes, well, if you're looking to infuse the shield spell into it, I could certainly make that happen for you. I could have it
As
go.
I said, any other suggestions that you might have? You tend to be a little bit more creative when it comes to things like this. I'm much more of the, just make it happen.
Well, what's your spending bracket like?
It's pretty hardy.
Give me like a ballpark. He kind of like gestures with his hands a little bit. Like, what are we, like in the thousands or in the hundreds of gold?
We're probably looking in the thousands.
He strokes his beard again and goes, well, I could do you, let's see. And he kind of pours over some of his potions and flips a page through one of his books, checks some of the stock that he has on a shelf. Goes, for about 2,000, I could put a shield spell into those robes, and I could have it run for you, because it's a simple spell, mind you. I could have it run for you maybe 3 times a day.
Yeah.
But that's 2,000 gold pieces, mind you. Like, that's the equivalent of like a ring of feather falling.
She pulls out a platinum.
Jesus. Okay. His eyebrows go up a little bit and he goes, I see. I see. All right. Well, let's have a look. Now these, the platinum piece is 100 to 1, mind you.
So, just a quick question. Is that 1,000 or is that 10,000?
Platinum pieces. You know what? What is the? Because I'm gonna check.
It's usually 10 to 1.
Session. Yeah.
There's 10 gold to 1 platinum.
Yeah, it's each platinum piece is usually like a single platinum piece is
okay.
is
I thought
10
it was
gold
the standard.
pieces. Yeah, it used to
Standard,
be
like,
100.
factorial of 10.
But yeah, it used to be 100 to 1 system, but they changed it 10 to 1 in 5th edition
Okay.
to make life easier.
Then retract the thousands because I was incorrect. Several hundreds. Let's
have a look here. Oh yeah, no, Rainer, I didn't forget that poison. That was the other poison. Like, that's over there. That was the one that didn't get tasted. So we're good. And then there was also the rust monster dust that was there that didn't get eaten. It would have been the one of the 3 things that she could have tasted that wouldn't have killed her. Let's see. Really? Nothing for that? Okay. What if I... Sorry about the wait here. Sorry. So yeah, 1 platinum is worth 10 gold pieces. How much platinum do you
10.
have?
10.
You have 10 platinum. That is correct. Yes, and you found this in your home.
Yes.
Also, Palanthir has given you a ton of daddy
I know.
Warbucks if you are interested
saw.
in being a part of the Ragaful. So there you go. Yeah, so he goes, right, well, given the amount that you're looking at here, I mean, I could put... I mean, enchanting into clothing like this, I mean, even low-end spells, like, to reach that threshold is still pretty pricey. I mean, it's a first-level spell, so... I could do ya once a day, shield, in those robes. I could do that for you for 800. And I could leave it open so that I could add more.
Okay. Well, because Sarah is bad at the fantasy world math, I am going to have to. We can reconsider this another time.
Of course, no, that's fine. If you have any interests, or if you want to talk more business, or really just get me quotes on things, come back, and I'll be more than happy to help you out.
One more thing before I go. Do you know anything about these? And she takes out a brass and a large silver coin with kind of an emblematic illithid head on one side of each.
Okay, so your family crests. You take those out and you place them on the counter to show them to him, and he leans down, furrows his brow as he's having a look, using one of his hands to sort of hold his 3 beards back, and he sort of shakes his head and goes, I haven't seen anything like these before. Where'd you find them?
Well, one I've had since I was a girl.
Oh.
And the other I found on an altar in my old home.
Oh. And he just suddenly like perks up and he goes, oh, so this is Mind Flayer treasure.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
She looks
All
a little
right.
like uncomfortable. She looks a little like uncomfortable. She's like, yeah, yes.
Well, I mean, I've never seen anything like them, and as he sort of looks them over, they don't appear to be enchanted.
I didn't think so. I was just wondering if you knew anything about them.
Unfortunately not, I'm sorry. Though there are some archives that, I mean, if you have access to the palace, there's some archives there that some of the other sort of extensions of the King's Will were using recently, I'm told, to look at maps and the like. They might have information on this. I don't know.
Thank you for your time. I apologize that I am apparently not good with coin.
That's okay.
Just kind of like
Not a lot of people
embarrassedly
see
just kind of
platinum.
kicks.
It's pretty wild. You have yourself a good day. He waves to you as you head out. Heading back into the alleyway, you see that there is a goblin who is just finishing up his ritual, and poof, there's another little fairy dragon.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hey, Ophelia, did you buy anything good?
I did not.
No, not enough coins, eh? Wow, we can work that out. We can figure some.
It's fine. I think I may take the evening to go do some studying. Katsiana, you seem to be kind of more leaning towards spells. More of my type. I was wondering if you'd like to see perhaps some of the libraries.
A library, you say?
Yes, there are quite a good many in the palace. I could ask the king to see if I could escort you around.
I mean, books are certainly always of interest. At some point, I'd like to perhaps share information from books that we might mutually possess. Perhaps there's things we can learn from each other. And you certainly found an interesting book back at the place that we're all happy to no longer be in.
Yes, those were kind of a family history.
Oh no, I meant the one on the altar. I'm not sure it was in the room.
Sorry, looking at my sheet. That was. I left that actually in the King's Ritual Chamber. Don't think I'm getting that one back anytime soon.
What item is it that you're looking for?
The Abyssal Ritual Tome.
Yep. You did leave it there. Whoops. I mean, you could certainly ask if it could be retrieved for you.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, no. As you guys are
doesn't wanna
talking
think of that
about
room right now.
as you guys are talking about the library, Benjamin turns to you as he's sort of just standing there errantly in the alleyway and goes, "Ah, yes, the Royal Archives. If you would like, I could have someone escort you to the castle itself, and you could be let into the large library space if you would like." With
I would very
supervision,
much
of
like-
course.
Benjamin, is my supervision not enough?
And he kind of like, you see his head straighten up a moment, and then look back to you and goes, "Your supervision will be sufficient."
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
So she'd kind of offer her hand friendly to the she, but in like a hesitating way. She's like, "Is this what people do?
Is this how two friends?
Is this how friends with bodies? Because she has a friend. Her other friend doesn't really have body."
Her other friend, unfortunately, doesn't have a body. It sucks, but but there is a thing.
I sort of looked at her hand a little bit quizzically, extended my hand as if, the way you normally put your hand out for someone to, like, kiss it or something. And then when I realized that's not quite how it's working, I kind of awkwardly grab her finger.
Just like, I'm just gonna go like this.
You guys are awesome at peopling.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
And she just kind of like turns and just glares at the goblin a bit and goes, "Maybe you shouldn't eat things from places that you don't know anything about."
That's worked out for me so far.
I'm sure
out
I
for
don't
you.
know what you're talking about.
Okay. So yes. I'll just be like, "Benjamin, please, let's shut books."
And he
Okay.
turns to you and goes, "Ah, yes, of course." And just gestures towards the end of the alleyway, and continues to remain at Knocker's side as he gestures for you guys to go. At the end of the alleyway, you are met by one of the Royal Guard. There is a... It's basically like a human skeleton, but it is clad in thick black iron armor. And its eyes glow with that familiar pale blue fire. And it bows to you as you come out of the alleyway, and then gestures towards the palace.
And without hesitation, Ophelia would just kind of like nod towards it and then just follow it. This is normal.
This is normal.
This is normal.
And yeah, you guys make your way along and up towards the area. Now, before we jump to the archives and get super involved, Benjamin turns towards Knocker and goes, "Right, so, is there anywhere else that particularly interests you that you would like to visit?"
Well, before I go, I do want to just, like, as a matter of course, grab a couple more of those fine familiar herbs and spices. So I'm just gonna grab two more hits of that because I feel like I'm going to need them. And then I'm going to say to Benjamin, well, everyone's going that way. I don't want to stick with my friends. Look, they're going to a library or something. I'd probably see that. I don't know. It seems like a fun time. Should we go? We should go with that.
Yes, they appear to be heading towards the Royal Archives. Would you like to join them?
What is there to do in an archive?
There are many books filled with a great deal of knowledge that you may partake in, if it interests you such.
Yeah.
So Cyaces kind of pipes up. If you are not interested in that, I could accompany you to anywhere else you might like to visit in town.
Oh yeah, you want to hang out? Let's hang out.
Sure.
Yeah, let's hang.
Show us cool places you like.
Let's go places that you like going, because everything else is scary. Yeah, so you guys are there. Cyaces, is there anywhere in particular that you mentioned that you would like to go?
So where are places of familiarity that they have not visited yet? Have we been to the pub?
Grace
we go
Tavern has
to?
not yet been
Yeah.
visited, no.
That might be fun.
No, you're going. This is a Sarah thing. You're going to Grace without me.
I mean, we could hold off until you're done. We could all go to the tavern together.
No. It's fine.
That's fine. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Yeah. Maybe we go visit our friends.
all right. So he sort of like perks up and goes, yes, Gray's Tavern is not too far from here, just a few blocks this way. Right then. And he starts striding off in the long-legged, sort of awkward walk that he does when he walks in an extremely official capacity, leading you down one street and over another. You find yourself to the outside of a large stone tavern that above the door, and it's quite a large door as well, there is written on a big wooden placard, says Gray's. And as you move your way in, it brings you inside, and you find yourself in a familiar space. At least you do, Cyaces. And yeah, so inside this tavern, there is a mixture of monstrous races here. There are trolls, ogres, orcs, goblins, kobolds, there's dragonborn, and behind the counter, you see a very, very large gray stone troll working away, making some kind of stew. Sitting next to him on a counter, sort of like halfway into the dish pit where all the dishes are put to be washed, is a baby that is also a gray stone troll stuck inside one of the large pots. And walking around is his wife, who is also a large stone troll, walking around and taking people's orders. As you come in, Benjamin gestures towards one of the empty tables over to one side.
All right, this is what I'm talking about. I can smell it already. Oh wait. Can you drink stuff? I say to.
Oh, to Benjamin?
Well, yeah, both of you. I kind of like look at the ghost and the skeleton, like, are you even going to get anything out?
Yes, I do have. I don't know if you can tell, but I do have a somewhat corporeal form. So, yes, I can consume things.
Can you get drunk?
I do not know.
No.
Let's find out.
It is also the kind of activity that I am not interested in partaking in.
Well, I mean, to each their own, but I'm gonna, so I'll buy you around if you... I just made a bunch of bug money today, so...
I would drink a tea.
Yeah, as you guys sort of get situated at the table, the large stone troll woman makes her way over to you with great thudding footsteps and looks down at Knocker and goes,
"Oh, hey, sweetie, I haven't seen you around here before. What do you want?"
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of questions. So, back in the forest, I had like a stump, and I just let like fruit and stuff go bad in there. And do you have anything like that? Do you have like old fruit that I could drink?
she kind of like, after half of a second, trying to figure out what it is you're talking about, then the light kind of comes on and she goes,
"Oh, yeah, we got something like that. I'll see if you like the, we got a nice cider that we've made out of some mushed apples. Maybe you like
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
What do you have in, Daisy?
What's that?
You have any berry wine?
and she like, Cal, and then like the large stone troll in the kitchen turns and goes, "What?" She goes,
We got any of that berry wine?
and he goes, and he sort of like one-handed reaches under one of the counters and pulls a large keg out and thumps it on the table and goes, "There," and he goes back to stirring a stew and working and slaving away in the kitchen. And she goes,
Yeah, we got some of the berry wine. How much you want?
I want a bunch.
All right.
Here.
and this is the fairy dragon, so she just goes,
Okay. And
she sort of looks to Cyaces and Benjamin and goes,
I'm just gonna make a gesture.
keeps doing that, waiting for something.
I'll just like with my thumb and forefinger give her like a couple fingers of wine, like just gesture like about how much I think would.
Okay.
You do like a little finger, like a little finger size.
Yeah, but it's definitely way more than probably would be. Because I mean, she's a fairy dragon. She could put away berry wine.
Oh, I imagine so.
You bet I can.
Yeah, what is the Cyaces? Do you say anything?
I will be keeping an eye on them. I think I will just have a tea. Thank you. A little bit of cream.
Oh, that's very sweet. I'll get you a tea. Okay.
And she nods and makes her way off. And a few minutes later, she comes back with a flagon of apple cider that smells quite nice. Certainly a lot better than a bunch of ugly fruit put into a stump for a bit. It's been like pressed and processed and fermented properly in a barrel. It's got like a very playful fizziness to it. And you could swear you smell like a hint of dust, like brick dust in it. And it's like, and she also puts on the table a little bowl, like a tiny saucer that has some of the berry wine poured into it. And she sort of scoots that over towards Daisy and goes,
There you go, sweetie.
and then takes a small like clay goblet that has like a nice little steaminess come out of it, and she puts that on the table over in front of Cyaces and goes,
And there's your tea.
and then very daintily between her two massive fingers picks up a like little tiny creamer pot and puts it on the table and goes,
Here's a little bit of cream for you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very
Oh,
welcome.
thank you.
If you need anything else, just wave your arms or scream or something. I'll be here.
and she trudges off to go serve some of the other folks.
All right, let's try this cider. And I'll take
Taking a sip of this stuff, it is really good. Like, I mean, especially if all you're used to is like rotten fruit in a stump. This is like several steps in the up direction for sure. And yeah, like it's good stuff. You can definitely like taste the alcohol if you go. Like, obviously, it's, you know, like your standard cider. If you go really fast and hard on it, you're going to have to make constitution saves. But you figure, like, with this flagon that she's given you, like, you could nurse this over the next few hours. You'd be fine.
Ah, cool, yes. I'm going to need to make a constitution save.
Dope. Roll me constitution save. Oh, cool. You handle it like a fucking pro. With the 22, like, you've been getting some fresh air, and you've been eating better, better than usual with all those fancy bugs you got. You think it might be due to the fancy bugs? You can't be sure, but, like, do you just like, knock this back?
Oh yeah, I hammer it, and then I kind of, like, motion for her to, like, one more.
And she comes over. She's a bit of a surprise. Look at her face. And she goes, okay, all right, Mr. Hollow Leg. All right, now I'll get you some more cider, and I'll bring that back over for you. And she goes and, like, you know, dunks it in an open keg that they've got and brings it back over to you and goes, now take a bit easy there, honey. Don't go too fast. And she, like, gives you a nice little wave motion and continues back into the thing.
Do I fit in my cup?
It is a small saucer. You could probably get into it, yes, if you like.
I would like to splash around and take some sips and,
okay.
You know,
so you
generally be merry.
You coil into the little bowl, and sort of, and it splashes around a bit. You've unfortunately getting into the bowl does splash a lot of the wine onto the table, and doesn't leave much for you to drink. There is still some for you to drink, but not as much as, like, about half of it goes onto the table when you climb into the bowl.
That's okay, I can lick it off the table.
Sweet, wine bath.
Drink by osmosis.
Yeah, you hop into the saucer, you take in a little bath in your berry wine.
I am.
Yeah. Do me a constitution save.
Okay.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You're feeling like a little bit.
Cups.
Like,
I'm in my cup.
Yeah, you're in your cup, literally. You have like a little, you got like a good buzz going, like a light buzz. You're feeling it. It's a good time.
Alright.
Siaces, it is like alarmingly good orange pico tea for trolls. Like it is strangely well made tea for trolls.
That is very good news.
Yeah. And the little cream's not even sour. It's wild.
There's nothing
That's
like
so
a really
nice.
good orange peach.
And I'm gonna say, Siaces, when you drink your tea, do me a concentration check.
Okay. Where is the... Oh, shoot. Concentration. Which check is that? Why can't I find it?
Let's look it up just to be sure. Concentration. Oh yeah, that's a whole different thing.
No way, I can't find the dang thing.
Oh, you make a Constitution saving throw in order to maintain concentration. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Boop?
15. As you take a sip of the tea, you can actually taste it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like really focusing in, like if you focus hard enough, you can actually taste the tea.
Oh dear.
Siaces is, like, a little bit bewildered, but, like, kind of, like, reveling in it a little bit. Like, this is kind of something that she hasn't experienced in a very, very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
and so that like that's kind of bringing her like a strange sense of joy.
Yeah, it's those old sort of bitter notes that you remember from this tea and everything else. As you're sort of like concentrating on it specifically, you feel like if you really give it your attention, you actually get to taste this. And this is something that is kind of new for you. Like, this is something that you haven't necessarily been able to do until recently. If you're looking around the room, your eyes might catch Cal, the troll who's working in the kitchen. He kind of looks over his shoulder at you and gives you a thumbs up.
Icy's kind of smiles gently and nods towards him.
He does like the best approximation of a smile that you would see from a huge stone troll, and then goes back to stirring some stew and trying to get his fucking child out of the pots.
It's delightful.
Yeah. And while you guys are enjoying your booze and having a good time, we are going to switch gears over once again to a very serious mode, to the Royal Archives, where Ophelia and Katiana were escorted by one of the royal guards to the palace itself, and it led you to these huge doors that led into the archives itself, and it just sort of stands next to the doors, and as it moves into its position, it stamps one of its feet on the ground, and the big doors to the archive open up. You guys, as you come in, are just made aware of this huge, sprawling library, all lit by that familiar blue glow, and there's just a ton of these little magic lanterns that light a lot of the spaces, and there are just twisting aisle after aisle and shelf after shelf of many, many books. Large pillars spanning up in certain areas, even some shelves floating magically as they move around, and occasionally you will see some of the books move out and reshelve themselves in other areas.
Arriving at the door and having the guards kind of like stamp and then just kind of put himself at attention, Ophelia would just kind of nod and just be like, "Thank you for your service," and then look over at Katiana and be like, "Would you like to see the archives?" And just kind of like slowly leads her in. Definitely into a place where, upon walking through the doors, Ophelia, her shoulders relax, she lets down her hood, but she leaves her veil up. But she definitely looks much more at ease, almost as if she's kind of coming home to something.
As you guys make your way into the room, there is just, like I said, just a tremendous amount of this blue light everywhere. You're really seeing this space. There is a large desk that appears to not be occupied, and there appears to be behind the desk a large card cataloging system. Oh yes, and there's a tiny bell on the desk.
There's a tiny bell.
A little bell.
So just kind of walking in, just be like, the Black King is almost unfathomably old and immensely powerful, and over the centuries has gathered here histories and tomes and any kind of thing that you might think of. There are histories and accountings of races and cultures that no longer exist because of the jackboot of the Empire of Light here. If there was anything that you had ever considered perhaps looking into, there is a good chance that you would be able to find it here. And this is where I spent a large portion of my time when I was growing up under the care of the kingdom here.
Wow, this is certainly a massive amount of information. I can't even imagine where I would start.
Well, first, is there anything you were looking to find out information on? Histories, looking for new spells, just looking for oddities or quirks?
Well, I mean, spells are always the first place to start. Rituals in particular are always handy to find more of.
If I believe correctly, I think the rituals might be a little bit more restricted, but we would have to find out. And she would walk up to the desk and ring the little bell.
As you walk up to the desk and you ring the tiny bell, phasing into existence in front of you, you see the spirit of a young gentleman who wears a relatively smart-looking set of professional clothes, like a very fantasy version of a suit, and a tiny pair of pince-nez, which are those little tiny glasses that sit attached to your nose. And as he sort of fades in, he smiles and looks at you.
Ah, how may I help you?
This lovely lady here is new to the town and is first visit to the archive. She was looking, perhaps, to study some rituals.
Ritual magic. Very interesting. I can certainly lead you to our section. Unfortunately, not all of the archives are available for public consumption. I can lead you to some of the rituals, though, that we could look over.
And he slowly just starts to drift into one of the hallways, and as he's drifting along, you can see he kind of doesn't have, like, his body sort of fades out mid-waist area, and he just drifts down one of the halls of the books. Do you follow?
Yes, although I do, can't sort of help but kind of look around in bewilderment at the sheer volume of books that are, but every once in a while I lose my step and then hurry to catch.
And then Ophelia would follow very closely after.
He leads you down a staggering amount of, like, different hallways and paths. It definitely is without, like, paying proper attention, it is very easy to get lost in here, you can tell, because a lot of it appears to have just been stacked and built as more information was gathered. And the sections to which information was put has grown in almost an unnatural and magical sense that, like, shelves appear to be stacked in such a way that, a person would not be able to get to those books that are sort of floating around on that shelf there, but there they are anyway. And yeah, eventually he leads you to a section filled with very large dusty tomes, and he turns to you and says,
"Is there any particular rituals that you're looking for?"
I must admit that I have not historically had a thought that I would have need of a wish list of knowledge. I just thought I would, peruse whatever was available, but I never conceived of having so much be available. So, no, I must confess I'm at a loss, I suppose, to specify where to start.
And he sort of, like, smiles warmly and nods his head.
Well, if you're looking for a beginner's guide, I can offer you some books on how to train yourself in the art of casting rituals. If that is something you already possess, I could look into perhaps a few beginner rituals that you could test out.
I do already have some familiarity with the casting of rituals. I was just looking to, always looking to keep my eye open for more to add to the collection. You never know when you're going to need a ritual, and it might be handy to have such a thing up your sleeve. But I do already have 3 or 4 rituals that I'm quite confident at.
Ah, good. Let's see.
And he, like, turns towards the large shelving behind him that is just covered with a series of huge books. And he sort of floats up to one of them and takes it off the shelf. and holds it out to you and says,
With this tome, you could learn Alarm. It is a relatively simple ritual, but if you find yourself traveling on the surface as you are a guest and you may return there, this could be used to keep you safe.
Indeed, I am familiar with the existence of the alarm ritual, but I have not yet had opportunity to learn how to perform.
and he gently places the tome on the table. He says,
So long as you are here, you may draw from and copy this knowledge, but all tomes that exist within this archive must remain here.
And Ophelia would turn to our guide and just be, I can assure you, I will make sure of that. And she would kind of just make a few small requests of him, specifically magic missile, mage armor, and shatter.
Magic missile, mage armor, and shatter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and those aren't rituals specifically; those are spells.
She's just kind of asking for them in general, but we'll just, kind of go through and just be like, oh, that one looks cool, and this one's neat.
Magic missile is an old favorite here.
And he smiles and floats away. And you see as he floats away from you, he just vanishes once he gets more than maybe 5 or 6 meters from you. And a few minutes later, he suddenly phases back in. And he's holding a tome. And he places it on the table as well and says,
This is a beginner's guide to magic missile.
She will take it from him with some happy twitches of her face tentacles. I was gonna say smile, and then I forgot she doesn't have a mouth.
Feel free to copy this information into your tome, and when you are ready, you may return these books to me, and I will bring you the next that you ask for.
He smiles very warmly and then fades out. Give me a perception check, the two of you.
Okay.
$16 and an 8. So Katsiana, as you're the ritual book that you have is, I mean, you get it. It's complex, but you get it. And you sort of begin copying that information as you're reading through it. However long that is going to take. But it does sort of occupy your attention. You don't really see a need to look around. You, Ophelia, though, with a 16, as you're sort of looking through the book every now and then, you're kind of look around, and it is you're pretty sure you know the way out if you need to leave. But at one point, you see floating halfway up a large series of shelves, there is the ghost of an old woman standing in front of one of the things, and she shelves one of the books that she's holding, a small stack of them in her arms. And her hair is done up in sort of a bit of a messy bun. She turns towards you, looking down at you at this distance, and she brings a single finger up to her mouth. And then she dissolves from view.
So we can safely assume that Ophelia's been here quite a bit, correct? And is more or less familiar with the archive ghosts?
This is in fact the first time that you've been officially admitted into the archive.
Are you serious? Okay.
Yes. Up to this point, some of the books have been brought to you by Benjamin, and then returned forthwith by him, specifically from his custody, but you've never been allowed into the archives, and certainly not unsupervised.
Okay. So this is big deal.
It is a big deal.
Is big deal. Just kind of gently placing the book to the side, probably having gotten a good chunk of the studying done for this particular one.
Mm-hmm.
She'd walk over to where the bookshelf was. Was this one of the floating bookshelves?
The one where you saw the older looking woman, the spirit of the older lady, was not one of the floating ones. No, it was just across one of the larger areas from where you're sitting.
Just like having a look around, but not necessarily suspiciously. She just kind of walk over to the shelf where that book was placed, and just has a look at some of the spines to see if anything stands out.
It's a lot of history books. And
Okay.
yeah, no, it's definitely an expansive mix of knowledge on a lot of different topics, but this particular section seems to deal with history. And are you looking specifically for the book that she shelved?
Yes.
The book that she shelved was a brief history into the Endless Abyss.
I'm gonna pick that book up.
As you pull the book from the shelf, you open it up, and it is... I mean, it's fucking dry as far as writing goes, but it is an account written by a planar traveler of sorts who talks about the nature of the abyss and how the abyss itself isn't the sort of emptiness that exists outside of or between dimensions, but is itself its own place. And so the nomenclature that's used to describe it as the abyss is a little undeserving, because there is certainly things in the abyss, and all of those things are crazy. And like, and he tries to describe the sort of just like cursory in the first few pages that you're skimming through. Like he tries his best to describe, the author tries his best to describe how the architecture for a lot of these places don't make sense. How in many ways, if you find yourself in that realm, to not trust your senses, because architecture can and is often impossible in those places, at least by our standards, in what he calls the prime material plane.
Mm-hmm.
You get a couple of pages in, and do me a perception.
Perception out of history?
Perception roll, yeah. Cool, you don't see her coming. You're a couple of pages in, and you suddenly become keenly aware that the ghost who shelved that book is standing right next to you.
It takes her even then a few seconds for her to notice, because based on some of the things she's seen recently and where she believes she has to go, she got really engrossed in this really dry book and just kind of looks up, and her tentacles just kind of like flare out a little bit and a bit of startling, and goes, just kind of like looks at her, doesn't quite know what to say at first, and just
She
looks at
has
the
a
ghost.
very like resting, stern face. She doesn't wear any glasses, though she does wear like nice clothing. There's like a frilly cravat and a very poofy dress that she's wearing that is somewhat modest. Like, it's not all over the place, but it's fancy. And she silently stares into you, and then looks at the book, looks at you, and then once again brings a finger up to her mouth. Shh. And then dissolves from view.
For the time being, Ophelia is just going to bring the book back over to the desk where her and Katsiana are working, and just puts it underneath her notebooks as she continues studying Magic Missile.
Of course. I mean, the book on Magic Missile is, like, definitely a little worn, because it's a classic, amongst wizards, and a lot of the first half of the book talks about, like, you know, the fucking wizard who claims that they came up with magic missile, a lot of wizards who sort of reinvented the wheel by sort of like unknowingly, unrealizingly stumbling upon the spell themselves, that it is just one of the best spells that's used by wizards because it never misses its target, unless, of course, they're using some other kind of magic like shield or what have you. And, you know, it goes on and on about, like, how great it is and the histories and the different people that have used it and all the different historical times that it was used that were great.
And I'm just like, flip, flip, flip,
Just
flip,
get-
where's the hands?
flip,
Where's the hand
flip,
signatures?
flip,
Okay.
flip. And then, yeah, eventually you come across, like, you know, what is... And, I mean, it's like, obviously this book was written by the fucking Empire because you see on the pages the people that are performing the hand signals and the different, like, the somatic components and the verbal components and things like that and the different gestures they're making. They're elves. Specifically, elven women.
Huh. Great. Good.
Great, good, awesome. And yeah, Raynor, Bromanub's got first hand of that fucking spell last week.
You guys are still after him? That's amazing.
Oh yeah. No, and they're seriously sitting there going like, so do we continue going to rescue all these slaves, or do we go kill Bromanubs? Like, what do we do with our time?
Nubs!
Oh my god.
Okay. But Ophelia doesn't know anything about this.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, she's just gonna Tatiana, what are you doing right now?
My nose has not come out of that book except to maybe like get a quill and some new ink.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Supplied on a lot of the large tables are like quills and inks and whatnot. And yeah, you find yourself sort of adding these rituals and spells to your respective tomes. And with that, we're going to head back to our other group, which is in the middle of the tavern, having themselves an interesting time drinking stuff. So as it is, did you continue to drink your stuff as quickly as last time, your cider, Knocker?
I'm gonna drink until I feel something.
Okay, well, give me another Constitution roll.
Oh my!
So you get halfway through your second flagon, and you have to stop and put it down, and you let out a pretty sizable belch. And you're feeling it, man. It is like the first one seemed to pass you by, but the second one's running into you like a carriage. Like, oh shit!
Oh boy! You how you doing with that the berry wine?
Oh, you know, I'm doing pretty good. I'm blowing bubbles with my wine.
Yeah, are you drinking any more of it?
Yes.
Roll me Constitution.
You should arm wrestle somebody.
So that's a good idea, man.
I'm gonna try to find somebody really big and scary.
Okay, sweet, awesome. Daisy, give me a Constitution save.
Okay.
Roll me some Constitution. What we got? Okay, you don't get drunker.
Okay.
You're blowing bubbles and you're having a time and you're taking your sips and it's very delicious. You still got like a good buzz going. Knocker gets up from the table. You say you're looking for someone big and scary to arm wrestle.
Do I recognize anyone in here? I mean, I know I don't really know anyone, but do I recognize anyone from like the contest or anything?
You don't recognize anybody in here. There's a table in the corner where there's a few goblins sitting, but they don't seem familiar to you. At least, none of them were competing in the Mishmash competition. There is another table where there's a couple of orcs sitting with a troll. One of the orcs is particularly bulky with regards to muscles. And then in one of the furthest corners in the room at a table, which appears to be just a sort of like a section of a tree that's been cut and put on the floor. There is a large troll that is sitting on the floor and eating a large bowl of stew.
I don't want to disturb somebody who's eating stew. I'm gonna go talk to the orc. And I'm gonna go up to the table and I'm gonna say, listen, battle of strength or battle of wits, you pick.
Who do you ask?
I'm asking the table. Let's see if I have any.
Oh, so you're asking the table of your companions?
No, I'm asking the table. I know. I'm walking up to the orcs.
Oh, the orcs. Okay, cool. Sorry, I wasn't getting that. Yeah. So you walk up to the table, and they all turn to look at you. Some of them with smiles on their faces because there's a drunk goblin, and you say, battle of strength or wits. You pick. The particularly bulky orc that is sitting at the table's got a few distinct scars on his face, and one of the big underteeth that he's got seems to have broken off about halfway and been capped with a bit of metal. And he leans down to you and goes, "You wanna test his strength?"
Yeah, if you think you can take me, but I have to warn you, I am. And I'll just sort of like stare at him for a second.
Okay, cool. Raynor, at present, no. They have a mission, but there's no particular timetable on it, so the group is sort of enjoying the fruits of relaxation between missions while you guys are off doing daring things. The orc sort of like smiles and shrugs and looks to the rest of his group, and they sort of like snicker playfully between each other. They're like, all right, and so he like gestures,
give him some thumbs up, and
yeah, like okay, and like one of the orcs gets up and offers you his chair that is just across from where the orc is, and he sort of like thuds his elbow on the table and holds his hand out and goes, all right, buddy, let's arm wrestle.
That's okay. That's good. Arm wrestling is what I'm trying.
Diocese is just like sitting and like sipping her tea and kind of like watching, just with like a little smirk on her face as she watches her new compatriot get drunk off his ass.
Arm wrestle a fucking orc. All right, cool.
Arm wrestle.
So yeah. You, due to your difference in size, have to stand on the chair in order to get up on the table and get your elbow down. And the orc with whom you are arm wrestling closes his hand entirely around yours. And he looks to you and goes, "All right, whenever you're ready, let me have it."
At this point, can I'd like to become invisible and fly next to the orc's head, and at the opportune moment, I'd like to just blow in his ear.
Okay, sweet. So,
Oh my gosh!
awesome, Knocker. Give me a strength check.
So, when she blows in his ear, I want to cast Phantasmal Force on him, and I want it to look to him like it's a particularly ugly orc just blowing in his ear.
Oh my god!
Like I just wanted to like just throw him off.
Okay.
And then in that moment, hopefully,
I have a bad feeling about this.
All right, sweet. All right, so I'm gonna on the back end here. I'm gonna have him do a concentration. That is okay. Constitution? Oh yeah, that was of 21. Okay, cool. Of 21. That was for your wine. All right, so yeah, give me a strength check, and I'll have. Of course, they're cheating, Raynor. That's what they do.
Strength check. Okay.
Yeah, give me strength check.
Clear.
I've got a DC set here, and I'm gonna see if that DC goes down. Let's see. Hey, that's not bad. Okay.
I'm the strongest goblin in the world.
So you cast Phantasmal Force, and it's like, good lord. As he's
it's an intelligence
gripping your
saving
arm,
throw.
you like immediately like go in, and he like grips your hand, and he's just like, "Whoa, okay." As you're like, as you're going for it, and he's kind of holding, he's like holding you at neutral in the middle, but he's definitely like putting in some effort as you're going for it. Daisy, you blow in his ear, Knocker, your spell to make him believe that there's a particularly ugly orc blowing in his ear goes off, and he does believe you, but he doesn't look away from you, and he just kind of waves his other hand in the direction of the blowing in his ear and goes, "Greg, fuck off, I'm busy."
Whoa. This guy's good.
And so he's just hanging on to you, and he's holding you at neutral, but you can see like the larger bulging muscles of his arm are definitely like definitely flexing in order to maintain. Like he's definitely putting in some effort. And you can see the other orcs that are present at the table with the troll are all like, okay.
Okay, so at this point, I've somewhat impressed him.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit of an impression in, and slowly as you're going though, like he grips with his left hand the side of the table, leans forward, and like definitely sort of pours on the mustard a bit, and your arm starts to tilt in the opposite direction. Do you want to try to do another strength save?
No, I'm gonna let him win because I have another plan.
Okay. So he does tap your hand down on the table, and the other orcs that are present go, "Ah!" And one of them kind of lifts you up in the air and like hoists you a little bit, and then puts you back into the seat in celebration. And goes, "You're all right, buddy. What's your name?"
Oh, I'm Knocker. What's your name?
I'll bet it is. I'm Scar. And he points to some of the other orcs that are at the table, and he goes, "That's Grick, that's Tusk, and that's Six Fingers." And Six Fingers holds up a hand. He has an extra finger on one side.
Oh. All right, well, you know, I let you in there, but I am, you know, I think you might be the kind of orc who could get up to a real contest. This is a different kind of contest. We're gonna do a stone throwing contest because I feel like that's the kind of thing that, you know, we can both kind of get down with.
Okay.
This absolutely comes off as something that a drunk goblin would say to an orc.
Stone throwing contest. He goes, "All right.
But we're gonna make this one interesting.
Oh.
I'm gonna put up 50 gold if you put up 50.
50 gold? And
yeah, 50.
He sort of nervously looks at his friends and looks back at you and he goes, "Look, buddy, I don't want to take your money. I mean, if you just want to have some fun and throw some rocks around, we can do that."
Oh, I see. You think that I'm just some kind of a pushover? And that you're gonna win magically? No, my friend. I am the utmost stone-throwingest goblin you ever did see. Let's do this thing. And I'll go run around and start collecting some empty, like, bottles from around the bar to, like, line up for our
you want to do it like that? Oh, I thought you wanted to see who could throw the stone the farthest.
No, this is like strength and accuracy. As I realize that my magic stone spell can only go 60 feet, and he can probably definitely throw a stone.
Yeah. Oh, so he kind of like looking around the room as you start grabbing empty cups and such from around the room. Willow, the barmaid, notices what you're doing, and she kind of like holds out a hand to stop you at one point and goes, "Sweetie, what are you doing?"
I'm just grabbing some empties. We're gonna have a rock throwing contest. Clear the floor! Everyone, this is gonna...
Okay, cool. So, she like, looks around. There's, like, a medium amount of patrons in the area, so she shrugs, and she takes 4 particular, like, wooden mugs and places them upside down on the table, in a row on the table that you were sitting at. The table that the orcs are sitting at is not all the way the other side, like corner to corner, but it's like straight across, and there's no other like tables or people sort of in the way from where it is.
Alright. This is gonna be it. 3 rocks. 3 cups. Oh, did I mention we're only throwing pebbles?
Like tiny stones?
It takes real strength to knock something down with a...
Alright. So yeah, no, the 4 is set up there, and one of the other orcs comes up to the table, and it seems he's gathered like a few small rocks that were just kind of around on the floor, puts them on the table and goes,
Alright. We get 2 rocks each.
or 4 rocks each, let's say. Let's see how many cups you can knock over. And then winner gets 50 gold. That sound good?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Alright.
So
he takes out his like purse and he counts out 50 gold, puts it on the table.
I'll do the same.
So
I definitely will spill some on the ground.
I'd like to align myself near the cups so that I can either stop his cups from falling over or have Knocker's cups be knocked over if he misses.
Okay. I mean, you got a light buzz going. Knocker, you are going to be making these with disadvantage because you are drunk.
Well, I'm planning on using Magic Stone, but I guess that probably doesn't matter.
Magic Stone does extra damage. It doesn't increase accuracy.
Well, it allows me to throw with my Charisma instead.
It does do that. That is correct. All right. Let's do this. So the large orc that's sitting there, Scar, he gestures for you to go first. He sort of slides 4 pebbles over to you on the table and goes, "All right, let's see what you got."
Okay, well, I'll try to quietly cast Magic Stone on the stones. So let me check. Yeah, so it is verbal and somatic. So I'll just sort of like try to make it part of a grandstand and kind of like, okay, here we go, bibbidi bobbidi boo, the magic words for the stones.
Okay. So you, all right, cool. Roll your attack.
So is it one at a time?
Yes. Okay, so the first one hits. And I mean, I don't think you need to roll damage, but if you want, roll your damage. Sweet. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I feel like that should be. That's also +4. I don't know why it's not added.
Oh, that's okay. We'll just say that it's the +4. But yeah, you throw the stone, and it zips across the room, smashes into the first wooden cup, and breaks it open into little splinters. And the orcs that are around the table are like, "Hey!" and they give you a little round of applause. Hey, roll me another attack for your next one. All right, so 17 still hits, and roll me your damage. Yep, yeah, it breaks open, knocks it over, and roll me another attack. 13 still hits, so that's 3 cups over, and your last one misses.
The last one, what?
The last stone misses.
Yeah, but I need Daisy to knock that cup over anyway.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So you throw it, and the stone narrowly misses the cup, and then the cup clack falls over. And what Scar sort of furrows his brow and goes, I guess the wind got it. All right, let's get 4 more cups. And he sort of motions, and Willow rolls her eyes, walks over, sets 4 more cups up. And let's see how he do. All right, so he picks these rocks up, sort of clacks them around in his hand, takes one of the pebbles, and fucking pitches it across the room, misses the first one.
I'm gonna stifle a laugh.
And he's just all right. And he whips another one, knocks it over, whips another one,
Wait.
Okay.
Daisy's got to block.
Yeah, I'm gonna block.
Either block them or hold the cup so they don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to the cup.
Okay. You try to hold on to the cup?
Yeah.
Cool, you take 4 damage. As the rock that he throws breaks through the cup and hits you.
Alright.
Okay, and the second one. There we go. Plus strength. Do you get in front of the cup on this one, or do you try to hold it, or how do you do this one?
I'll try to hold it.
Okay, so you take 5 damage as the second rock just splinters through the cup and slams into you.
You missed the first one, right?
I did miss the first
Didn't
one.
I miss the first one? Didn't I win off?
Yes, but he's just gonna keep throwing the rocks anyways.
Alright, I step away at this point.
And he misses the last one. So as he's sitting there, he's just whipping those rocks. He's throwing them really fucking hard. And you get the impression that he doesn't have a weapon with him, so he might be more used to using improvised gear. So he does have a proficiency with that. But he did miss 2 of the cups throwing the rocks, and just goes, "Oh well, you're pretty good at throwing rocks, little guy. Well done." And he pushes the 50 gold on his side of the table over to you.
It's a pleasure doing business with you. You guys are all right. Hey, you guys ever do anything that gets more of these golden coins? I can help you. I'm good at stuff. See, I threw rocks real good. I can help you guys get more.
And he just kind of nods and goes, "Yeah, well, I mean, if you're looking to make coin, we usually do hunting parties out in the woods looking for game, and then we sell the meat and the hide in town here."
Okay, that sounds really boring. What about, adventure?
And he sort of looks between his companions, and they kind of, silently look between each other. The troll shakes his head no quietly to the other guys, and he looks back at them and goes, "Nah, we're just fine down here in the kingdom. We don't venture around to the surface."
Alright, well, I'll keep you guys in mind if anything comes up. You seem like cool guys. I'm gonna go back to my table, but again, it was a pleasure doing business.
They smile and laugh, and they go, "All right, little buddy, you stay safe." And you hear one of the other orcs go, "Dude, you lost a rock throwing contest to a fucking goblin." He's just like, "Oh, you're gonna shut the fuck up about that right now." And that banter sort of fades into the usual sounds of the tavern as you make your way back over to your table. Your flagon of cider is still half full. And with that, though, Cyaces, is there anything in particular that you would like to get up to during this, or are you happy just being an observer to this?
Cyaces is kind of just happy people watching. It's what she do. She's pretty quiet. She usually keeps to herself.
Yeah.
She likes to observe.
And yeah, so with that, we're gonna switch our gears once more back over to our friends that are hanging out in the archives. And yeah, as you guys have been here sort of throughout the day, just here looking at the books and poring over the knowledge and information that is contained here, there was actually a little tidbit of information that was brought to my attention, thankfully, that learning things like magic missile, mage armor, would take upwards to 4 hours and 100 gold worth of materials in order to copy them into your book. Now, is that per spell or is that collectively?
It is 2 hours and 50 gold per level of spell. So the two that I was looking at getting were both level 1 spells, hence 4 hours and 100 gold. So
there you go.
2 and 50 and 2 and 50.
All right. And then that's another thing to Katsiana. It would take you 2 hours and 50 gold worth of materials and inks and things like that in order to copy this into your book.
Yeah, I am only copying the level 1 spell, so that is fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, so then I'm going to say if you don't have the materials immediately on you, the archive can supply them to you in exchange for coin. So if you don't have, like, arcane inks on you and things like that, then they're happy enough just supplying the supplies. And you can just deduct that straight from your money reserves on your character sheet. I'm like, what do they call the amount of money that you have in your character sheet? Pockets?
It's just money.
Money bin?
It's just money.
Yeah, just deduct it from your money.
They don't get complicated here.
Yeah. So then, yeah, as the hours roll by, Katsiana, you finish as Cyaces is done doing the magic missile. Or sorry, not Cyaces, as Ophelia finishes memorizing and writing down magic missile. Ophelia, you get into doing mage armor. Katsiana, you find yourself now without a book to read. Is there anything that you do in particular?
I would be interested in just sort of perusing and getting an idea for, what they have available for the future so that I can make a mental note to maybe come back for more spells later. So just sort of peruse books.
Yeah, looking through the books that are there is a number of, like, ritual tomes that you see. Looking over the spines, you see some spells that you recognize, some that you've heard of, and some that just elude you entirely. Like, there's magics here that, I mean, it's either too sophisticated for you to fully master at this time, or stuff you've just never heard of. Some of this writing you don't recognize at all, in a series of characters or runes that seem foreign and alien to you. On the table, you will notice, though, that there is another tiny bell. Just in case you need to look for something in specific.
I'll just sort of happily wander through whatever I'm, allowed general access to. But, not going into the dusty, scary corners with, like, obvious do not enter warning signs.
Yeah, as you're kind of poking about and looking around, roll me perception. Dope. So there's nothing like, and you're just kind of wandering the shelves looking at the books, yeah?
Yeah, in general. I mean, and if nothing else catches my eye, then if I am curious about the concept of magic books that I just can't even tell what they are. If it looks like Ophelia is going to be, up to her proverbial eyeballs in book for a while, then I might grab the first one of those that I see. Maybe the first few of those that I see, and take a small stack back to the table and cast Comprehend Languages and see if I can figure out what they are.
Yeah. So you grab like 2 or 3 of these books, and you bring them back to the table and setting them down, opening them up. You follow the usual motions that you do. You cast your spell, and looking at the page, it's like, yeah, you can read the characters now, but like, what the fuck? Like, a lot of the stuff that's in here is... It's like, you know what numbers are, and you know how math works, and then someone hands you, like, advanced differential calculus, and you're like, oh, what? So it's very, like, it's definitely a ritual book that you are able to peruse through, but, like, there's nothing really that you can gain from it, and you're pretty certain that if you were to attempt to copy the contents of this into your book, that it would A, take forever, and B, you're unsure if you would be able to do so in a way that is genuine. Like, you might make a mistake where some of the numbers are, because a lot of the stuff that they require you to understand for this particular ritual is very complex. It's like a ritual that you grabbed off the wall.
Very exciting. So yeah, I'm just seeing what the extent to which I can suss some things out, but I'm not actually going to try, and I'm certainly not going to be trying to copy it anytime soon. It's just sort of more an eye for what exactly is in here that I could maybe come back for.
On the tome, on the very front of it, you read the like, using your comprehend language, you're able to read the title on it, and it says Dromege's Instant Summons. The book gets into how this is indeed a ritual to summon things, but it gets very complex after that, and it's very hard to follow. Another one of the books that you've managed to pull off the shelves and that you're having a gander at, just called Forbiddance, in huge letters. It appears to be some kind of warding spell.
Yeah, I mean, I make some mental notes that these are things that I should maybe look at again in the future. But for now, it's an interesting mental exercise to see how much I try to wrap my head around.
The third book that you get your hands on, that you look over, appears to be a tome that teaches rituals, that teaches people how to commune with others from different planes of existence. And once again, it is just beyond complex.
Yeah, definitely feel like it's not really something I could do right now, but also, given the things that we've got on the horizon, a little bit wistful, because that sounds like a thing that could have maybe been handy in our upcoming plans.
Yeah. So do you spend the next couple of hours just sort of leafing through these books and having a look at the crazy shit?
Yeah, to the extent that I can, I leaf through them and get a feel for what to keep my eyes open for in the future. And then, I might, if there's still time and Ophelia's still copying things, then I'll just, wander around the allowable sections of the archives and, become more familiar with it, just so that I'm maybe not as dependent on assistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so... Okay, and yeah, Sassa, what's up?
Kind of like while she's wandering around and look at these books and being like, what? Summons? Okay. I'm gonna kind of like, while I'm still taking notes, take Steph down from my shoulder and just kind of hand him a quill and just be like...
So, you hand him a quill and parchment?
No, just a quill. Just a quill. First, what does he do when I basically hand him a pen?
So is there ink on the quill, or is it a dry quill that you hand him?
This is currently a dry quill.
You hand him a dry quill. He curls it up in one of his tentacles and holds it really close as he's just staring at you. He holds it like, this is mine now. And he just keeps it really close to himself, and then sort of with really big eyes looks around at all the shelves and the glowing lanterns and everything, and your connection with him, you definitely get a sense of wonder, and very much in the way that a baby looks at jingling keys, just it's pure childlike wonder. There's absolutely no understanding whatsoever with what's going on. And it just continues to hold the quill and sort of like slaps the surface of the table lightly with his tentacles, sort of looking around at things.
He is baby. Okay.
He's baby, yes.
I was like, okay, I'll let you go explore, but I want to try something first, okay?
And
so hold on to this.
Nods at you. You tell him to hold on to it, and he like holds it a little bit closer to himself.
And I am going to try and dismiss him into the pocket dimension.
Wow. Okay.
What happens to the quill?
The quill goes with him because it is presently on his person.
Her eyes kind of go wide and her face tentacles just kind of like happily twitch, and she snaps her fingers and immediately calls him back.
It poofs back into existence, the same spot in the table, still holding the quill.
And she just kind of like takes her own little tentacles and like leans in and like...
And like what? Sorry, you cut out after that. Oop. If you're talking, Sass, we can't hear you. Oop, and she's disconnected.
We got DC.
Oh no. Not that dim's connected.
Like,
Oop, there she is.
Sorry, I got disconnected there. Okay, so the last thing I heard is he came back and he's still holding the quill and he's like, what?
Yeah, he came back still holding the quill, and then you reached in and did what?
With her face tentacles, just kind of like reaches in and just like happily pats him on the head, just be like, yay, very, very proud mom-like.
It like smiles, like his eyes smile at you, you know? And he like wobbles back and forth a little bit on the table as you do that, and then goes back to looking over his prized possession, which is Mom's quill. It's now his quill. It's his now.
So I'll kind of like mentally tell him like if he wants to go like explore around a little bit, but don't go too far because I'll know. While she just kind of finishes with her spells for like the next like hour and a bit to get this one down.
You tell him to go look around, and he sort of like okay, like gives a little nod and like flops over to one side of the table, and then just sits. And just like sits at the edge of the table looking around at the books and stuff, and he just kind of parks himself there and then continues looking at the quill.
Important question. Seth plushies when Seth plushies. I need one.
You need one.
Oh,
you need 5
little squiddy kisses.
Okay. So, kind of, like, Katsiana's still, like, looking through her books and everything. I finished with Mage Armor. And so I ding the bell to kind of call for the next book.
As you ring the bell, the same ghost that led you from the front desk area sort of phases into existence next to the table. And he looks down and says,
"Are you done with these?"
I am indeed, thank you. I was wondering, now this may perhaps take a little bit of looking, if you did have anything on the history of the Empire prior to the war.
Let's try this one. You say prior to the war, like before the war.
Yes.
He sort of thinks for a moment and says,
"I'm unsure. Some of those texts are not available for public consumption. Is there something specific that you were seeking?"
The Great Houses.
And he nods and drifts slowly backwards and sort of dissolves out of view from what you can see. And a few minutes later, returns.
Wait, okay. Hold on a sec. This is important.
Yes.
In the time that he is gone.
Yes.
Ophelia will kind of like lean over to Seth. And just very, very gingerly kind of just be like, okay, I need the quill back, but I'm gonna give you something else.
He's
you're
very
gonna
hesitant with giving you back the quill. He loves it so much.
I'm gonna hold on to it for you for just a little while. When you come back, I will give it back to you. Okay? I promise. This is your quill.
And he kind of like nods at you and then holds out a tentacle for whatever you were gonna give him.
Okay. And she's going to lift her spell book and kind of like pick him up and plop him down on top of the book on the abyssal plane.
Okay, so you like put the book of abyssal plane sort of like underneath him and put him down on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah, as you place him on top of it, he like drops the quill and curls all of his tentacles around the book. So now he's holding it, and he just continues to stare at you as he's doing it.
Once again, kind of very happily, like petting him on the head with her tentacles. She says, "Okay, I need you to take very good care of this, okay?"
And then he nods, and just continues hugging it. Yeah.
And at that moment, she'll snap her fingers and dismiss him to the pocket dimension again.
The book does not go with him. The book is too large.
Damn it!
Yeah, so he disappears, and the book just, like, thud, lands on the table.
Snaps him back, pets him again, gives him back his quill.
Oh, he takes that quill, and he curls it up in his little arm. And he holds it. It's his now. And so, yeah, a moment or two later, the attendant returns with a singular large tome that seems to be very worn, and there's a few pieces of the tome that appear to be damaged. Not necessarily sections missing, but like there's cuts across the front. Some of the pages have been damaged. There's like corners of certain areas that have either been torn or burnt. So it appears as though it has been damaged. He places the book, curiously, he places it on the table, and he gives you a bow of his head and then phases out.
The bow is new, correct?
A little bit, yeah. Like he kind of like declines his head towards you in a respectful manner before he disappears this time.
Covering the abyssal book back with her spell book again. It's just kind of like it's fine. She's gonna pick up the book on the history of the great houses of the Empire of Light.
Yeah, this book details a lot of the, and it's very strange. Every house that is written in here is an elven lineage.
That tracks.
So it's all elven bloodlines, and it was this person, son of this person, son of this person, son of this person, etc., etc., etc.
So you're reading the Silmarillion, basically.
Yeah, it's very dry, and it's just names and people and like the names of territory that they once owned, and their interactions with other houses and sort of the political holdings that they had, and like a brief description on court decorum and things as such.
Can I see if there are any descriptions, pictures, or names that are familiar based on the shit that I saw last session?
Okay, so I'm gonna say roll me history, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, roll me history check, because that's some digging. So you recognize, reading through the book, that like a lot of the house symbols from the banners that you saw, both in those visions and in the throne room itself, each of those banners is a symbol from one of the houses in this tome.
Are all of the banners present in the book?
There's one unaccounted for.
do they mention it at all?
The one that is unaccounted for is House Brevalden.
Brevalden. Anything on House Brevalden?
The House Brevalden was the home of the first emperor. So when all the houses came together to form the Empire of Brevalden, I can spell that out for you if you need. The Emperor, Aelith Alariel, was the first to create a united empire out of the elven houses. And this was done, and like, this is one of the chapters sort of near the back of the book where things appear to be missing and a bit damaged. It seems as though the empire was created out of desperation.
Mm-hmm.
And this one particular emperor was revered as like a very powerful wizard and a great warrior. And it was thusly upon his shoulders that not only leading the great armies of all of the houses combined, as well as any other allied races that they could get their hands on, fell to him. He had one daughter. Her name was Velitha.
Okay.
So Aelith Alariel only had one child, a daughter named Velitha.
Okay. There wouldn't happen to be any references to one named Satyrus in this book, would there?
There are none. There is brief mention of humans and how they mostly made for good workhorses. Like they weren't trusted with a lot, and a handful of them were often seen as like surprising. It's like if you want to teach an elf magic, an elf will take, decades to learn a fireball spell, because they want to learn every particular nuance, all the gestures. They want to make sure they get the enunciation of all of the words perfectly correct. With humans, it's like you put 10 humans in a room and try to teach them fireball. 2 will survive, but they will know fireball.
In the space of a week.
Yeah, and it's astonishing how fast humans learn by elven standards, but it often comes at the death of a lot of humans. So, and it was something that the elves saw as quaint. This was mentioned in the span of a paragraph that was at the end of one of the house's chapters.
Okay. I think that's all I need this for. I'm gonna kind of look up at Katiana and just kind of gauge where she is in her.
Katiana, what are you up to?
Have I noticed any of these goings on, or have I been too deeply absorbed in the crazy calculus?
Give me a perception roll. Wow. 0 and 0.
Wow.
This book is fucking confusing, but you will not, listen to me, you will not be defeated by this. So, you are...
I feel like somehow something about trying to dig into this book about talking to people on other planes has, shunted my brain into another plane. I'm not even here. I can't... What is even this?
Yeah, you obviously understand, not only with, your current mission, but with just your existence in general. The ability to communicate with other planar entities is so valuable to you as a she. And so you're, maybe you were just, you're very, very focused on trying to figure out what the fuck is in this book. Just, anything that you could glean from it, anything you could learn at all, but it unfortunately proves fruitless.
So I guess what I'm doing right now is staring blankly at a page full of nonsense. That's what I'm...
At least up to this very moment, yes. Looking up from your book, you see that Ophelia has another larger tome in front of her, and that she also has a tiny, adorable octopus sitting over at the corner of one of the tables, very tightly holding on to a dry quill.
Well, she's seen Seth, so Seth is not new.
Yeah.
Seth was the first...
He's over there.
I met.
Yes, I think he was.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He crawled up the stairs and went, "Hello."
Oh,
He
fuck.
held out a little tentacle and then led me down.
Okay.
I blink because right now I'm struggling with the concept of reality as a thing that exists.
It's a very challenging book. It's definitely broadening your perspective on how dimensions interact and communicate with one another. But yeah, you see that Ophelia has like a large book in front of her that seems to be finishing. She's near one of the back chapters, pretty much wrapping it up. So yeah, that's where you are.
Okay. So just kind of like once she finishes, I'll look up and be like, "Okay, well, I think I've had more than enough that I can mentally deal with today. How about you?"
I think I'll have to sort of make a mental note to glance down at the book for another day in the future at some.
Oh, I have a list as long as my arm right now. Shall we start kind of packing ourselves up?
Yes, I'm not sure how much time has passed. Maybe we should be eating or something.
It's been about 5 hours since you guys came in, so it is definitely rolling into around the evening/dinner time.
Okay. As we are packing things up, Ophelia is going to make a big show about packing all things and like tidying up, and will accidentally kind of her spell book, and oh no, it'll fall on to the ground. And perhaps the other book will fall with it because it's still hiding under her spell book.
Uh-huh.
So I'll also grab our dear sweet boy
Mm-hmm.
and bring him down to the ground and be like, "Okay, so you like the book, right?" And I'm thinking this to him.
Mm-hmm. And he, like, nods back at you.
"Okay, so I'm gonna need you to hold on to this, okay? You're gonna need to stay very still."
He nods.
And so I kind of take him and he like grabs and put him like around the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll kind of tuck him up under the back of my robes.
And, yeah, do me a stealth check. Stealth or sleight of hand, like whatever. I'll let you pick.
They're the same.
Sweet.
It's fine.
Nice! 18. Very well done. All
So
right.
kind of like while she's kneeling on the ground, she'll just kind of like do this and like cover it in the flurry because she's got long sleeves, man. She's like, it's all these dangling things. There's her dad's new robes. They get in the way. She's still trying to figure it out. It hasn't been fully, gotten right to her shape yet.
Mm-hmm.
She'll just kind of like sneakily take him in the book and just kind of like tuck it up in the back and be like, "Okay, you gotta hold on, bud."
Yep.
And when we get back to our room, you will get the quill back.
And it nods, and then he sort of like snuggles into your coat and like using both himself and the book, sort of like finds sort of a gap in where your lower back is and sort of hides himself there, sort of gripping to your waist on the inside of the robes.
Okay, to everyone in the chat, look.
Everybody's like, it's a fucking library and she's stealing. What the hell?
When you have a secret ghost be like, yo, you need this book. You need this book. Need this book. You want to know what you do? You take the book.
Yeah, so you... do you guys make your way out of the archives?
Yes.
Okay. As you guys are making your way along, because you guys are doing pretty okay with your perception coming in, you kind of figure out where to get back to the entrance. And as you get to the entrance, you're walking past the front desk area, heading towards the doors, and the ghost appears once more at the desk and goes,
My sincerest apologies. It seems you may have forgotten one.
And I hand him back the history book that she is holding in her. Yes, I wanted to make sure I personally return this to you.
And he just smiles warmly and nods, and then like looks over the rim of his pince nez at you, and he goes, It's just like too socially awkward to return this book.
Okay, hold on. So just kind of like stares at him very, like not blankly, but very straight on, motionlessly for a minute.
And he leans forward and goes,
Perhaps you did not notice your familiar seems to have absconded with an additional tome.
Oh, I'm gonna regret saying this.
Would you like to check it out?
Oh, I wasn't sure that was an option.
It's not.
because he's a ghost and a librarian, and apparently not without a small amount of humor to him.
The king is currently holding on to a very important and very rare book of mine. I was simply just going to borrow this for a brief while until I could get mine back.
And he goes,
I apologize if you seem to have misunderstood. This is not a book exchange. I'm sure if you have need of your tome that you left within the king's possession, it could be returned to you at your request. That being said, if at any time you would like to return to peruse these books again, you would be free to do so. This book is open at all hours, such as is the library.
And he gestures to the space behind him.
Would you like to come back tomorrow and I can put the book aside for you if you would like?
You may want to inquire with your colleague. She seemed to have told me that I could take it.
I don't recall any of our colleagues saying you could take books from the library.
Can I do a deception check?
Oh,
Deception? Do it, yeah, roll me deception.
I'm losing my mind. Okay.
Just an 11. Okay, cool. So you, he just continues staring at you and he goes,
I don't think that happened. Unfortunately, I do regret I am going to need you to return that to our possession. Though if you would like, you can return again tomorrow. You could read it some more. You could copy information that you find into the book. We have a supply of ink and parchment on the tables. Was that not made available?
This guy's sass levels are off the charts, and I love it.
Like, he's a librarian. They're the driest people you've ever met.
Where? Okay. Do you ever?
Oh, I can barely hear you. Sass, are you alright? You're coming in real quiet all of a sudden. Oop. She disconnected. Just give it a second.
There she is.
There we go.
Is this better?
Yeah, now you're back. Okay.
Okay. So taking a brief moment as a quick aside, guys, from the game. To anyone who is not aware as to where I got the nickname Sasself, is I played an elvish librarian who was the biggest bitch. So the car on this is insane. Okay. Oh, this did not go how I wanted. Oh, okay. So she'll just kind of like grab Seth from his hiding spot.
Uh-huh.
And just gently, slowly pull him out while making direct eye contact with the librarian.
He continues looking at you from over his pince-nez.
Ophelia does not blink.
Okay, neither does he. Do you just hold Seth out with the book?
Yes.
So you hold out Seth. Seth, in turn, holds out the book. And the librarian smiles warmly and nods, takes the book, puts it on the table, and says,
I'll keep that put aside for you for when you return.
Don't get me wrong. People is sort of a thing that I do and that I know, but I have never encountered a situation remotely as awkward as this one in all of my many years of existence, and I have no idea what to do with this, so I'm actually just standing there, mouth agape, just kind of like staring blankly at what is going on right now.
Oh god!
So just kind of still staring at him, unblinking. I imagine Seth is doing like grabbing tentacles because now he doesn't have anything to hold on to, while also staring up at the ghost librarian, just being like, gimme.
Yeah, no, he's like, after giving back the book, he immediately kind of like crooked his head a little bit to look back at you and like holds his tentacles in such a way that's like, where's my quill, Mom? What the fuck? You promised me I'd get my thing back, but now look, here we are. What's happening?
And it's just like taking him and just like not quite shushing him, but taking your finger and putting in his tentacles as if you were to shush a child.
You just be like, no, shush.
Again, still just looks over the librarian, and she is like a dusty, rosy purple now. Like,
yeah. And
she's
as
almost fuchsia at this point.
He like leans forward and goes,
Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Jeez.
If we could just keep this between us, I'm very sorry for the misunderstanding. It's a very important book for a mission that we're about to go on, and I didn't.
And he nods and goes,
It's a common enough mistake, and I'll keep it between us. I won't tell a soul. And he winks at you.
Oh, fuck off. As she was kind of saying that, it started off really quietly and then faded out even more until the point where it just became a telepathic message because she was too embarrassed to keep talking out loud. She was just kind of thinking it out and just be like,
yeah, and so he says he's not gonna tell a soul, and he gives you like a wink and then goes back to standing at the desk.
And she just pulls up, and she just like pulls up her hood so deep, and just takes a quill and just gives it to Seth, and just puts him on her shoulder, and just starts walking down the steps.
Yeah, as you make towards the door of the massive library, they creak open, and you make your way back out. into the large stone hallways of the Palace of Fallen Leaves. And so on that, sweet Jesus, we're going to make our way back to the group that's currently in the tavern. Actually, before we leave, though, where do you guys go from here so that I know I can pick you up?
She'll just kind of look over at Katsiana. You could barely see her underneath her deep, deep, deep hood where she's trying to hide her shame. You sounded like you were maybe getting hungry. I know a good place.
It's probably about time for us to be thinking about taking a meal and perhaps a beverage and planning our next steps.
Yeah, I don't eat the same as everyone else does. Let's just go to Grace.
So you guys make your way down the street to Gray's. And back at our happy little tavern, our lovely people here, the day's kind of trolling on a bit, both literally and figuratively. And as you guys find yourselves in the tavern itself, it's a little quieter than normal. A lot of the folks have gone home for the most part. And, the dinner rush seems to have just passed. And you find yourselves kind of bumming around in the tavern. Just as the dinner rush is starting to quiet down, though, you guys see Ophelia and Katsiana enter the tavern.
Hey, this is our friends. This is are here. Come on, you guys. Come on over to the table. We got we have ciders, and we got the berry wine, and then I won a contest. So come on, I got buying dinner and drinks.
Cyaces just kind of looks over at Ophelia and Katsiana and gives them a little bit of a wave and a soft smile.
Ophelia is still deep in her shame hood.
You see on the table, there is, Knocker's got his big old flagon of cider. You see Daisy lying in a bowl filled with berry wine. Cyaces is enjoying her tea. Benjamin just appears to be sitting there, and in the middle of the table appears to be the wreckage of several wooden cups and a few pebbles.
I'm sort of moaning in pain at this point.
Yeah, you got a bit of a bruise on your tongue, where one of those rocks drilled into you pretty hard.
Is there any way for me to tell that Ophelia looks ashamed? Does she
yes
betray that at all?
Insight.
Yes.
Roll me some insight.
Oh, okay.
With disadvantage.
Oh, right, because he's drunk as a skunk.
Yeah, because he's out of his... A 9. You get that they're, you don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the behaviors of Mind Flayers, but this is different behavior, and it appears to be, you could be wrong, but it might be shame. So, there you have it.
Hey, you guys look like you could use a drink. And I'm just gonna point at my cup and just assume everyone wants the same thing as me, and point at my cup and then point at them and then point at the server and kind of just try to get that going. Just here's another round for all the adventurers at the table. We're cool and we deserve drink.
Oh, of course. And Willow comes over with a tray. She's got a few flagons of hard apple cider that she puts on the table for you guys. And yeah, it's very nice if you taste it. It's an apple cider. It's got a nice bitter note to it, and you could swear you taste brick dust. You're not necessarily sure, but there it is. It's cool, refreshing. It's got a fizziness to it. It's very playful.
Quick thing. When Willow comes over and notices that it's Ophelia, she'll just kind of look up at her and be like, "Could I get my teapot?"
And she goes, yeah, of course. Yes, of course.
And this is the teapot for Seth, is that right?
No, this is the teapot that Ophelia drinks out of because she doesn't have a mouth.
Yep.
Like normal people.
She takes your flagon of cider, goes over, puts it into a small tea kettle, and brings it back over and puts it on the table in front of you.
There you go, sweetie.
Hold on, let me see. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, so as she brings the tea kettle back over to you, she leans over and goes,
"Are you all right, sweetie? You feeling okay?
No.
Is it boy trouble?"
I don't think my brothers have gotten up to anything. Like, she doesn't understand the concept. She's like, no, my last I heard, my brothers were fine.
And she, like, freezes with her mouth open for a moment and goes, "Okay," and then just stands up straight and walks back towards the kitchen. Just gonna walk right out of that conversation. Doesn't need to explain the birds and the bees to the mind flayer. We're not gonna have that talk. So
it would be a very different talk.
Super different. So they and yeah, she just walks back over. Yeah, do you guys order food?
Ophelia.
Yeah, I mean, I can pay for food for everyone. I mean, I just want to make sure that everyone is well fed. I made some money today, so you know.
Yeah, altogether, it's like 10 gold for like the round of drinks and like stew for people who eat. And like maybe if you're feeling extra fancy, she could throw in like a bowl with fruit.
Oh yeah, fruit bowl for the fairy.
Dope. All right, yeah. So she brings over a tray, and it's got like some stew that she gives to Katiana Knocker, and gives like a smaller bit of stew over to Saisis, and then puts the bowl of fruit in the center of the table.
So what's our plan for what we're gonna do next? We survived the kidnapping attempt, and that was awesome. But what's next? What's next on the old?
Before answering anything, Ophelia would just kind of like look semi-wistfully over at the table of food. just a little bit. And then just being like, I can't eat here. I can't do the thing. I wanted to read that book. I should have brought that book with me. I couldn't. And as she's kind of like getting lost in her own thoughts, she will take a fairly large swig of her teapot full of cider.
Sweet, roll me Constitution. Oh, you're fine.
Oh my god!
You got a buzz? You're loosening up a little bit. You got a buzz, but you get like halfway through that teapot of cider, and you're good. Like you're holding your own for sure.
Okay, very surprising. I expected to fail that.
Yeah, well, it's wild the things you pass.
It's wild the things I don't.
It's wild the things you fail. So yes, as Knocker tables the question of what to do next, Benjamin, who's sort of sitting there and politely sort of grinning and watching everybody else go about their business, goes, "Well, perhaps, if I may, you could find your hands on a map. And the map itself could perhaps give you plans on how to approach your next destination."
I don't even know where we're going. Do we just like point to the map and go there? Is that what we do?
From her seat, Ophelia would just kind of like mutter darkly, "The Black Isle. That's.
Did you say the Black Isle?
And then she'll take another big swig of her cider.
And Benjamin nods and goes, "Yes, the Black Isle. It's far off the eastern coast of this continent, it seems."
Why are we going there?
No, well, that would be your next destination.
She just kind of like looks over and like, did you not listen to what the king said when we were the 4 people in his chamber?
I'm pretty sure he must have told you something different than he told me. He just kind of like asked me who I was and stuff. Did he tell us a thing? I'm actually like, Ben is actually curious about that because I feel like he told you that, but not us. I thought he just was like, hey, how's it going?
You were
Yeah,
indeed
it was
during
present
your conversation.
for the conversation where he said that you guys would be traveling to the Black Isle off the east coast, where you would be entering into the realm of Umalaut and finding a way to capture and contain his essence using the big egg you found.
That was during the conversation we all had? Okay, it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah, that's
Let's
okay.
go there!
We're just gonna play it off like Knocker was real drunk and forgot.
He just briefly forgot what was going on. That's totally fine. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's that.
Well, okay. So what do we need to get there? It's an island. Do we need a boat, I guess? Or are we just gonna swim? Is it swimmable? Should we swim? I'm up for a swim. Let's...
As you say that, do you like get up and start trying to leave to find a place to swim?
Yeah, I'll start taking my shirt off.
Awesome.
Oh my god. It's just like I don't. It's a ways off the coast, but the coast is a ways out from here. But it's only the getting there that's going to be pretty easy. It's going to be the getting around there. Once we get there, and then it's the getting to the other place. Once we get there, it's the get back.
Alright, well, so I guess we gotta go to find a boat, unless you have a boat. Do you have
Do you ask this of Benjamin?
Oh yeah, I'll ask Benjamin. Hey, can we get a boat?
And he declines his head and shakes it no. Unfortunately, I am not in current possession of a seafaring vessel.
So we gotta get us a boat. Wait, is there any water in this place? Is there any way to get to the sea, or do we gotta go like up and out to go to the water to get to the? Isn't that gonna be dangerous?
You know where we found you?
Yeah.
How it was like several days away. We got to go back there and then go further.
Well, okay, that was not so dangerous on the way there. Then let's go. I'm ready to go right now. Are you ready? You guys ready?
No.
I could use a little healing or.
Well, we'll have a nap maybe first.
I think it may be wise to maybe take the evening to rest and maybe leave in the morning.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I could use a...
Kind of briefly.
I think I'm just gonna put my head on the table.
Okay.
Briefly, like reviewing in her head as she was kind of like talking, be like, "Oh my god, we have to get there. Then we have to get there from there, and then there from there. They have to get back." It's just like, she just kind of like trailed off, and like a piece of inspiration hits her, and she'll like sit up super straight and stare at Benjamin and be like, Could you ask the king if I could have an audience with him tomorrow? I think we need something before we go, and I think he might be able to help us."
He nods and he goes, "Certainly, if you would all like to retire for the evening, I can speak with the king and arrange an audience for you with him tomorrow. Would you all be in attendance, or would this be a specific audience with you, Ophidia?"
And I kind of like start pointing around to the group, because she's getting kind of says like, "Are you there? Are you there? Are you there? Are you there? So I guess you can be there." Points at like the dragons, like, but I probably wouldn't know because you're always invisible. Are you going to be there? And like she gets kind of excited and like points at Benjamin and goes, "You get that? You're the."
Well, yes,
Knocker raises his
I will
hand.
certainly be there.
Sort of. Yeah, Knocker raises his hand and says, like, sort of half asleep, "I'll be there."
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this then for the evening. Do you guys have anything else in specific you want to do with your characters for the rest of this night, or can we move to the next day?
Nah, Sicen's chill.
Sweet.
I'll sleep on the table.
So Ophelia wants to go over and say hi to Brock Baby.
Yeah, as you move over to the thing to say hi to little baby Gray, there is a troll baby that is, God, you could swear it's like a third larger than it was the last time you were in here. Jesus, they probably grow fast. Because, like, you're not sure how long trolls live or how fast they grow or whatever, but, or maybe they're just feeding him something. It's hard to tell. But you see him getting shooed out of another pot by his dad and sort of flopping around on one of the counters, waves at you as you're standing there.
So, kind of seeing the senior Gray do this, just kind of like chuckle and be like, "See, if you didn't want him sitting in pots, that's maybe where you shouldn't have put him when he was younger. Now he just thinks he belongs in a pot."
You see Kaldaka turn to you and be like, "Where the fuck else am I supposed to keep him? Look at him."
But see, you're trying to get him out of the pot now, whereas before you were trying to get him in the pot. He's confused.
He's like, stew, just stirring his stew, grumbling.
And she'll, like, happily, jokingly wave her tentacles at Baby Gray. And then...
Baby Gray giggles and flails his arms around.
Yeah.
He's feeling a fair bit better, but also still just like, ah!
All right. Anybody else got stuff they want to do for the evening?
Nope.
All right. Ophelia, you head back to your home where your family is in this sort of upscale apartment that you guys have. Syaces, your home as well in the upper part of town, you return to. Knocker and Katsiana, you are offered a room here at Gray's. There appears to be another sort of like 2 floors above this where you could go to stay the night if you need.
Works for me.
Yeah, it's 2 gold, I believe. And it's just like a small room. It's got a bunk in it. A pot in the corner. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh. Do you have any money, Cassian? Okay. Well, I'll generously pay for our rooms.
Okay. So yeah, that's 4 gold altogether. Yeah, you guys are shown to your rooms for the night. The next morning, waking up with what can be often described as a sterling hangover, you guys make your way to the Palace of Falling Leaves and are ushered into your meeting with the king. And getting into the room, Benjamin obviously comes in with you and walks across the large room where all the banners are hanging up to the large obsidian throne and takes a knee, as is his normal custom.
I guess Knocker will sort of like watch that and go like, and then kind of like take a knee.
Yep. Then yeah, so as everybody comes in and does their motions as they will or not, the king stands and makes his way forward.
Ophelia, you called this meeting.
I think she disconnected. Did she disconnect? Oh, she's muted. Ophelia, you're muted.
Sorry.
That's okay. Hello. Welcome back.
So she'll just kind of approach, a little bit more shy than usual, but she'll shake it off pretty quickly. This dagger that I got from my family's home, I've been informed that it has a space that a spell could be stored in.
This is true.
Considering where we are going, And considering the warning that you gave that you would not be able to assist us from there, I had an idea that perhaps you could assist with filling the spell in this dagger in a way to be able to get us home safely.
You see the flames in his eyes definitely burn a little bit brighter as he takes a step down towards you from the stairs leading up to the throne.
Indeed, I could fill the space in your dagger with a number of spells. Was there one in specific that you had in mind, or an objective?
And she just kind of hesitates for just a second, kind of like what a normal person would kind of be like, licking their lips, kind of psyching themselves up. Just goes, plane shift.
You see the flames in his eyes narrow down a little bit as he regards the space on you where the dagger sits.
It's in her hands right now.
The spell that you ask is complex, but certainly not outside my realm of influence. You wish for this dagger to open a tear in space and allow you to travel from Umalaut's domain back to the surface world.
Yes. If we are successful in capturing his essence, I don't imagine that the plane would be very stable, especially not for that particular pocket, nor would his servants be particularly happy with our presence there. A quick exit may be required.
On all accounts, you are correct.
He reaches out his hand, and the dagger, if you're just holding it out, floats up into the air and makes its way over to his hand. He kind of turns it over, regarding it one side to another, and then holding it up above his head, he starts to channel just a large amount of energy that sort of rushes out from the creases in his cloak and up through his crown and out of even his eyes, that pale blue energy that swirls into the dagger and finds home in its blade. He then turns back to you.
It is done. Take this dagger. When you are ready, within Umalaut's domain, hold the dagger aloft and speak my name. It will tear a hole in space, returning you to the surface.
And she just kind of takes it very gingerly from his hand, and then backs up with her head inclined. Thank you.
You are welcome. I must say, I am proud of each of you for taking up this mantle. I know that which I ask of you is not easy, nor should it be. But it will be for a greater good. And hopefully, as time goes, you will come to see what we are trying to achieve. My influence, powerful though it may be, is limited to this kingdom. I can see and interact with the surface world very limitedly. And in the realm of another Underlord, even less so. Unfortunately, I must send my children, my compatriots, into these spaces in my stead. For this, I thank you.
And Xyces curtsies, and says, "It is an honor to serve you, my lord."
as it is always my pleasure to serve you.
Oh, that was another thing. Cyaces, if you did make a taste of the stew yesterday...
I did.
Yeah.
I almost say I did. Cyaces was very, after drinking the tea, was very curious about the stew.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
yeah,
You
how
can
did that
taste
go?
it. If you concentrate hard enough, it's distant. It's not muted. It just feels like everything you're tasting is far away. But when you concentrate on it, like, you can taste it. It's almost like you can make out a song, but it's distant, so you have to, like, really focus your ears in order to pick it up. It's kind of the same thing, is that, like, normally when you used to eat stuff, it was just, you know, flavorless mush, and you don't need to eat to survive, so it was never really a thing you decided to do. Your corporeal form that you've made is made from hardened ectoplasm called ephemera. So you're in a situation where it's kind of like a crystal gem sort of thing, like you're made from hardened substance that you don't require eating, but now, for some reason, you can taste food. It's certainly a distant thing, but that is something that you've noticed is developing.
Neat.
Mercenaries are like, this stew tastes like it's 3 miles away. All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we can call game.
Yay!
Okay, so if we're calling it there, I want to do a quick thing. As we're kind of like leaving the chamber, she's going to turn back around for just a second and be like, "Oh, I think I forgot something in your room last night."
He, like, as you turn and you're like, I think I forgot, he's holding the book. And he just, like, lets go of it, and it floats across the room, and it goes all the way from his throne, all the way to where you're standing at the door in front of you.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just kind of, like, grab it and, like, hold on to it.
He, like, inclines his head at you. He sort of, like, nods in a respectful way and then sits back down on his throne.
And I expect at this point, Seth just thinks, "Ooh, books are fun and exciting." And he would just kind of, like, skitter up from wherever he's hiding and just be like, "Hey," and, like, clamp around it. And just kind of, without saying anything, she just kind of turned like another shade of fuchsia, just like blushing, and just be like, "Oh, okay."
Oh yeah. Okay. As you were leaving as well, Benjamin will ask if you guys want to make one more stop at the archives to go over any more tomes or maps as needed in order to plan out your trip.
Probably.
And we could probably go over that between games and or at the beginning of our next game. But for today, ladies and gentlemen, we good.
Yeah.
We's done it. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna bring this over here. We're gonna close that, and we're gonna swim on over to our giveaways, and we've got 3 people who are in on our Regaful right now. We got Camry's got 1 ticket, Planthier's got 5, and Mango Toad has 1. I'm gonna give you guys another 5 minutes, just to 10:15, to get in on this. Oh man, I don't want to reset the loyalty database. It's gonna make me sad. All right, cool.
So as we wait these 5 minutes, did everyone enjoy watching Ophelia's complete and utter breakdown of her composure?
It was adorable, and I wanted to hug her.
I loved it, but I think she doesn't have a foot to stand on if she ever says anything about Knocker being a shit disturber. I don't know. I mean, I'm good thing he wasn't there.
You know what destroys me?
the level of shit disturbing between the two of them is like eons apart.
Yeah, I don't know. Shit is.
You know, that whole time that like you were trying to like cheat these orcs, this one orc out of my, I'm just sitting there thinking of like, these guys seem like really decent dudes. They're just like, you know, you're trying to cheat them out of their money. And I thought that was so funny. They seem like real nice guys, and you're just
They always seem like real nice guys. I had nothing against them.
Oh sure. I just thought it was funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, now I know what money is, so I gotta get as much of it as possible.
Gotta get as much money as we can.
Get that money.
I was only gonna borrow the book for a little while, I swear. Look, when you have a randomly appearing ghost lady that basically says, here, there's a book right here. Shush.
Oh,
seriously, here's a book. Shush.
I wholeheartedly support your decision to try to steal that book. That makes perfect sense to me.
To the rest of you in chat, come on. Come on.
Come on.
No one, we don't trust Ophelia anymore. Really, guys? It's a book.
He's stealing
She's
from a
a
library.
Right? Yeah.
That's a big. That carries a big note.
It was just one book, as if no one would miss it.
Borrowing from a book that was basically like, you need this. This is for you. This for you.
Maybe we can get it. Maybe we can get a copy made for you. We can get somebody to like clone it or fabricate it or there's gotta be.
I had a thought actually that I think maybe I regret a little bit not coming along to the library because I feel like I'm curious what an interaction between Cyaces and that librarian would have been like.
the ghostly version of Washi Tong. He who knows 10,000 things. Yeah. I mean, I think that would certainly be interesting. And we can definitely, if you guys want, we can definitely play it out at the beginning of our next thing before you guys get on your way to the surface and make your way trying to figure out how you're going to get to the Black Isle.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
To be fair, she did feel real bad the whole time.
That's okay. We'll help with that. Eventually you won't feel bad about stealing stuff at all. It'll.
Jeez.
We'll work on it together.
They're gonna have to borrow a boat. Yeah. Looking like.
Okay.
Okay, so it is 10:15, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna be closing our entries for our Ragaful this evening. You can no longer enter this Ragaful. All right, and here we go. So our first game we have is Titan Attacks on our list here. Our very first game for our Ragaful is Titan Attacks, and our winner for Titan Attacks is Mango Toad. Congratulations! You won yourself a copy of Titan Attacks. And we're gonna take you off there so that it's equal chance for everybody to win. Otherwise, it takes you out of the list. Don't worry. It says you've been removed due to inactivity, but that's a load of bull honky. So don't you worry about it. All right, and our next winner for Game of Siberia, our winner is Camry. Congratulations! Won yourself a copy of Siberia. Here we go. And last but not least, for a copy of Surgeon Simulator, our winner is Mango Toad again! Congratulations, Mango, walking away with a copy of Surgeon Simulator.
Yay, Mango!
Yay! All right, and that is our stream for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out to watch another wonderful game of D&D 5th edition that we've been putting on here. I'm so happy that you guys have been coming out and watching this and making your donations and all that stuff. So thank you very much for your views, your time and attention, your wonderful communication through our chat system. And thank you as well to our fantastic players. We've got Sasself playing Ophelia, our Mind Flayer and Wizard Necromancer.
Yep. Just don't judge me too hard, guys. Come on. Come on. We're villains here.
And we've got Cassie D20 Lovechew playing Siaces Blueleaf, our Banshee Bard.
Stay healthy, stay safe, and give yourself a little bit of grace in these tough times. You deserve love.
Yeah. And we got Badger playing Knocker, our Goblin Warlock.
Say goodnight to the bad guys.
And we've got Phoenix playing Katsiana, our She Artificer.
Another spell in the books. More fuel for later. Wonderful to see everyone. Have a good night.
Yay! And last but not least, we've got Star playing Daisy Sunwing, the Fairy Dragon Familiar.
Nighty night.
Yay! And of course, I have been your hopefully kind of benevolent DM, Dr. Tarawat. You know what? I am gonna switch this over to Dan, because Dan the Video Ninja is streaming. So after credits are done rolling, I'm gonna switch it over to Dan, because he's currently in it. So we'll get there. Raid Dan Video Ninja, sweet. Dope. So, until next time, though, my brave citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Tarawat. This is our Layer 4.0. Thank you again so much for coming out. We will see you next time.
End of lie.